Starting momentarily. Oh, okay, good. Joyce is going to make me wear these. Actually, I'm making myself wear these. Okay, hold on. Stay right there because we're starting the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air. Yay! I'll put these on. Okay. Oh, I got them on backwards. Hold on. Okay, yeah, that's not good. There we go. Better. Okay. All right, hold on. I got to start our actual show music. Not sure why this is playing so low. Oh, maybe this. Maybe. That's why. Okay. One moment, please. We go to here. We play some Captain Beefheart to start things off. It's called Tropical Hot Dog Night. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's still there, right? Yeah, sure. Oh, I've got it here. Tropical hot dog night. Two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day. Around at night. I'm playing this music so the young girls will come out to be from much to the night. Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. I don't want to know about wrong or right. I don't want to know. Anywhere tonight. Tropical hot dog night. Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody. Happy middle of October to you. Dave Lefkowitz here. Thank you. So you just don't have to put that kind of in the other microphone. Actually, I've got to turn on my microphone. Good morning, everybody. I'm so distracted now and into the visual portion of this that I forget that I actually have to put on my old radio stuff. Because here's the deal, folks. By the way, welcome to the 625th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air with me, Dave Lefkowitz, and my beautiful wife Joyce over there. Wave. Here, I can turn the. Don't turn it. Well, yeah, it'll mess everything up. But trust me, I've got a woman over there. That's my wife, and she's on the other microphone.
Let me out.
We have only one microphone on this computer. So here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. So we've been having some streaming issues with our radio station here in terms of the usual way that you listen to UNC radio from where we emerge. It's the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. Why are you making Tiger Claw?
The bear.
Oh, the bear. Oh, that's right, because it's homecoming weekend here. So wouldn't it be great if everybody could... What?
Those of us who remain.
Those who haven't been quit or other things here at the university. But wouldn't it be nice on homecoming weekend if people could just tune into this great student radio station and listen in the normal way? But for the past couple of weeks, we've been having an issue with our audio stream. So I'm telling folks, hey, this is kind of mutual idea. Was it your idea or my idea, both at the same time, to do this? Oh, Joyce is pissed off now because it was her idea.
You claim every idea that I have is your
No, I do. I always say you came up with the title.
No. The only reason you claim me on the pictures is because you can't photograph yourself because you don't know how to use a selfie. I said to you, David, remember the woman at the Boulder Fringe who had that mechanism where she could...
That was 2 years ago,
no one in the audience, like one or two people, but people paid to watch the show and she streamed it live. And she told us a version of something, and I think your audio or somebody, tech guy, told me about this. And then I was like, why weren't we doing this the last 2 years? I told you that, and then you now forget.
No, I was going to do it for my
you forget
stage
that I told
shows.
You anything,
right.
And then you take it. Thank you.
I didn't know. I said I wasn't sure. I thought it was both our mutual ideas.
No, it wasn't. It was mine.
All right. So there's, I planned out
you
murders to
get
show live on
depressed.
Facebook.
No,
but,
you get depressed if you can't do your radio show.
well, I do. Well, not clinically depressed, just pissed off and disappointed and angry. I'm still disappointed and a little angry that we're having issues with the station itself. But I'm certainly very thrilled that Joyce, my wife, has come up with this great idea of, hey, there's no reason you can't still do a radio show live that looks. I mean, I feel like Don Imus. I feel like
it's a beautiful station.
Not quite like Howard Stern when I'm here, but the way they've done it all up. I've got my sign, as it were. I don't even actually, if I lit it up, it won't even look as good. I think this is perfect.
It might be
See?
too shiny. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my.
Do you want the letters to change it, or do you have
my poopy ears? Oh, I didn't bring all the letters. The rest are home. I've got my beautiful poop hat for Halloween. I've got my.
Show them.
My new noise machine, because we always use noise machines for certain things that we do. Oh, somebody just gave us a thumbs up, whoever that is. By the way, thank you so much for some of the people listening.
Let me look.
It's scrolling. I can't see some of the top people, but Stevie, Paul, Jeff, Trevor, back from WGBB.
Trevor.
Bondi, yeah, you remember Trevor.
Oh, yeah.
So, yay for all of you.
No, now do the rapping.
See, Joyce got me this very cool noise machine. I will. But not only does it make musical sounds, but it's actually supposed to be like a DJ's thing. Oh, Trevor's saying, come to WGBB. And 95, they have an FM band now?
What?
Well, I'd love to go back to Long Island for various reasons, but I'm pretty happy here in Greeley, Colorado. Wiki, wiki, wiki. Yeah, this is why I am not one of the founders of hip hop.
Yes,
I am not one of the architects of rap.
Cool Mo D, Bubba.
Yeah, no, I'm slow mo Dave.
You're what's the opposite of grand? You're minor Mr. Flash.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Master Flash. And if you ever Master Flash, you know how painful that can be. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our 625th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio show live. We're also, by the way, just in case you have people who aren't going to be able to watch this live, don't get Facebook or aren't Facebook members, remember that a day from now we are recording the show. So by tomorrow we'll have the show live. You could listen and listen just to the audio, not to this video. But this isn't meant to be video. This is kind of an alternate source. But it just so happens we have this nice radio studio. You can listen. You can watch me. Not really much to watch. So if you need to do dishes,
they could tap dance while
yeah, I can tap dance. Actually, that's a very perfect segue to remind people who the guest is going to be on this episode of Dave's Gone By. We've got a guest I've wanted on the show for years.
Shirley Temple.
We don't have Shirley Temple, black or white. No, we have a cabaret legend, and I do not say that lightly on this. And I say that because there's someone named John who just joined, who I know is has done cabaret records and CDs and things for many years.
Listening for the cabaret interview.
Yeah. Well, you think people are tuning into this show for me?
You're very cute.
I'm the reason. They want to listen to everything in this show but me.
You are like the thread that holds the seams together.
That is, I'm the toilet paper that carries dingleberries on it, one by one by one. So I know my place. I know my
ilk.
Yeah, I know what I'm worth. But without me, we wouldn't have this amazing show called Dave's Gone By. It's October 21st.
Say who the guest is. You never said.
I am. I'm saying that I have wanted this guest for many, many years. Tried to get him just all sorts of ways. Never happened. And then finally.
Kidnapping? Kidnapping and abduction?
I was thinking about that. Just because of all the people that I've seen in cabaret. And when I lived in New York, I went to quite a bit. I'm more of a theater person, but I went to see a lot of cabaret.
We used to
folks.
remember the Ibis? It was my favorite. I loved
Ibis was cool. I always kind of felt more homey in Little Place 88.
88 something.
Yeah.
Into, yeah.
Don't Tell Mama, I've been to a bunch of times.
Where did we see Harvey?
Harvey Firestein, I think, was 88's.
I think so too. Right
over on Christopher, right downtown. We didn't go to the Don't Tell Mama one. I remember he's a big Harvey. We're talking about Harvey Firestein.
He fit past me in the chair. I had it. So he was like, I don't know, trying to look for somebody in the audience, not me. And then he got stuck behind me, and I had to keep pushing my chair in so he could move.
I know.
Continue the
But it was
show.
still, he was great. I mean, he was doing his "This is not going to be pretty"
I
era
like that, yeah.
stuff. You know, poor little oyster.
Mhm.
I love, and some of the other things he was doing. I mean, I love seeing him there.
Mhm.
And we've had people on this program that I've seen in cabaret. Also, other
We've had a
people.
lot of cabaret people.
Yeah.
A lot of cabaret people.
Now I'm going to have to name them, of course.
No,
but,
don't name them. Just say
well,
so many.
Linda
that you
Lavin has been
Yeah.
on here.
Who's the Fiona Apple's sister,
Jason-
right?
Oh, Maud Maggart,
Yeah,
that's right.
She's,
We've had her.
She's cabaret.
And Andrea Marcovici has been on the program.
Did
Carol
you have
Channing.
anyone who did the songbook? The songbook people?
The Great American Song. Well,
Yeah, no.
some people have written Great American songs, like
Yeah.
Sheldon Harnick. And,
I'm missing you.
But okay, so over the years we've had our Jason Gra has been on this program. So some really great cabaret, and the late Julie Wilson, who is considered one of the all-time legends of cabaret. Well, we have another guy who's probably going to go down as one of the all-time legends of cabaret. He's been doing it for, probably 40, 50 years at this point.
Wow. Is he a singer or writer? Singer.
He's a singer and pianist.
Wow.
In fact, he had no intentions,
Of
at least
singing?
according to my notes, he had no intentions of really being a singer at any point. He just wanted to be a cocktail piano,
You know,
play
you're
the
like a
piano
lounge guy, yeah.
in cabarets and nightclubs and lounges and stuff. But then he realized if he wanted to make a living, if he was going to make some money, he would have to sing too. So he taught himself how to do certain songs. And
That's
since he has
hard
this
to do,
dapper elegance, he gravitated towards especially songs by Noel Coward and Cole Porter
Yeah.
and things of that ilk, the night and day sort of
People
ilk.
like those crowd pleasers.
And I remember seeing him many, many years ago doing a show. It was not even a cabaret show anymore. I think it was in an off-Broadway setting.
Okay.
And went there and was just,
Like a one-man show?
a one-man cabaret show. Talking about,
Well, was he one who did the
Probably
two
Noel Coward.
pianos? Was he the one on the two pianos?
no, that was Two Pianos, Four Hands, which was a
Okay.
wonderful show, but that was something else. This is him at the piano talking about Noel Coward, I think.
You said no Coward.
Coward,
before,
yeah. And doing Noel Coward songs and explaining Noel Coward's life, but in such a fun, gentle, elegant, erudite way. It's hard to explain until you hear him, but of course you will,
So he's-
because we're going to play his songs.
He's a good storyteller.
Yes, and he's also just a remarkably gifted singer of a story song. His name is Steve Ross. I haven't mentioned that yet, but his name is Steve Ross. And he will be with us in the Daverhood, talking about his life, his career, about his music, his musical tastes. After all this time that I've spent trying to get him on the show, I'm not going to get to talk to him. Joyce is giving me a look. The person who is going to be talking to Steve Ross is someone else who loves theater and cabaret and music, but he's a little more lively than I am, a little more eccentric than I am, if you can imagine that. His name is Rabbi Saul Solomon. He is the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. He has done his two-man show off Broadway. He's done some theater stuff. He's done a lot of writing, and he even had a TV show on Long Island for a while. So he knows the business a little better than I do, I would say. So amazingly enough, Steve Ross agreed to talk with
That's
Rabbi.
the miracle.
No,
That's the
it's
miracle.
not the miracle
He
of
must
long
be a
time.
very gracious and kind man.
Yeah, well, he is, actually. Very charming
I can
fellow.
see that because,
So if you're into cabaret, if you're into great music, you want to be with us on this episode of the Dave's Gone By radio show where Rabbi Saul Solomon talks with Steve Ross. That's going to be a little while from now because there's other things we do on a basic regular episode of the Dave's Gone By show. For example, we go inside Broadway to talk about the theater. So that's one of our segments, and there's some theater news to share with you. We'll also, what else do we do? Oh, we do Greeley Crimes and Old Times because we live here in Greeley, Colorado, and we have a couple of fun things that are in our local newspaper that we play with and we make fun of and we enjoy here on the Dave's Gone By show. We also have Saturday Segues, where we play music on a certain theme, and our weekly Saturday segue that I love to do is called In the News, where I play a bunch of songs, and you have to figure out, why is Dave playing that? What does that have to do with something that occurred in the world this past week? Some of them are pretty obvious, some not so much. But anyway, you might enjoy it. It's called Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. We'll also have a segment that I will never be proud of, but it's called My Sick Mind, where I make jokes that should not be made, that should not be told. And you know me. Come on. Most of the people who are listening right now know who I am, and they know I can't resist the opportunity to make jokes that are tasteless and ill-considered. Last week I made a couple about Las Vegas. This week it's going to be about Harvey Weinstein. What else? What else? Is there a woman in America now who hasn't been molested by Harvey Weinstein? Did he ever go near you?
No.
When you were younger?
I remember I always said I'm the one with the straight job. You're the theater person. I have money. You don't have to get me money. I'm taking out my own money.
Oh, Joyce is going to, yeah, she asked if I had, because she gets me my shake and my snack.
Because you're like, like one of the country singers. She said she just wants coconut water and some kind of snack. So your little contractual snacks are like a mint iced tea, and either you like a chocolate shake, sometimes you like a cookie crumble, or Oreo cookie shake. Mm-hmm. One time you had a root beer shake. I saw them refilling the shakes, and they had a cake batter shake.
I'm not sure I want that. That might be a little too sweet today. The root beer shake was nice.
Do you want chocolate?
Chocolate. I want a chocolate shake.
It seems like.
And I want my mint tea.
Yeah, if they have it, babe.
And I do have contractual obligations. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, and Rabbi Sal Solomon would enjoy this story, at our local synagogue, we have a wonderful rabbi, Rabbi Sarah, and we live so close to the synagogue. So I feel bad when I don't go, but I'm a lapsed-ish, somewhat atheistic, but still strongly cultural Jew. But sometimes I like to go for the ceremonies, the holiday things, for Passover and for Purim. So they had me for a Purim spiel one year, and somehow I wound up being Mordechai or some big important narrator person in this, because as you can tell, I'm kind of performative. And then she emails me the next year and say, Dave, I know you're not an actual member of this synagogue because you're too cheap to pay to be a member. No, I'm kidding. She didn't write that.
She's one of the most gracious, kind.
Yeah.
She's one of the kindest. Even when our dog was very sick, she prayed for him.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very lovely woman.
She really is. Love Rabbi.
She's like a very, very deep thinking, compassionate, thoughtful.
Which I am not. Yeah.
Thoughtful, mindful.
Yeah.
Even when you dressed as a narwhal that looked kind of phallic, she said, David, I don't want to inhibit your right to dress as a narwhal.
This is for Purim, by the way. I didn't do it for Yom Kippur. I dressed as a narwhal. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said, not for nothing, but you put a stocking over a paper towel holder,
and
you stuffed the tip with
because it was supposed to look like a narwhal horn.
Yes, well, it didn't. It didn't.
Looked
very much like
very penile.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a penile narwhal.
You would have taken away attention from the grown man dressed in a onesie.
Yeah.
With the bottle and the pacifier, so that he didn't want competition. That's what I think.
I think, yeah.
I think he wanted to win the costume thing and take you out of it. That's my feeling.
But she did want me to take part in the Purim spiel that they had that year. So I said, okay, I'll do this again, because it's enjoyable and I like being on stage.
You're very hammy.
Hamming it up with the crowd and making jokes while reading the script about Haman and Mordecai.
They're good, fun people.
Yeah. And I said, well, okay, but in my dressing room, I wanted.
Oh, what you said. So people don't get you. So you made this whole rant like you wouldn't do it unless you had only green M&Ms.
Yes, I wanted a bowl full of green M&Ms if I was going to.
So this poor woman went to every grocery store in Denver. Then she had to go to a party store and just buy green M&Ms.
I felt so bad because I was
joking.
She
just picked them out, got a bag and picked out the green. She found a bag of green M&Ms. I don't know how much it cost. You have to go to a party store. That's where you get them.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like you get those like Jordan almonds that you make into the favors for the wedding and stuff. You have to go to like party something.
And so Rabbi Sarah, if you're listening, which you're not because it's Shabbos, but if you're listening, I've not eaten them. I've not eaten those green M&Ms, and they're about 2 years old. I someday will, but I feel so bad that you had to go through all that when I was kidding. I was being like a rock star, which I am.
But
I'm like that representative, Frederica Walters. I'm a rock star now.
I don't get it.
Oh, come on! You have the back and forth between Kelly and Trump and this woman, and it's made her famous. It's made him. Everybody question his judgment. Gewalt. Anyway.
That's to Greeley Times and Times.
Yeah, well, I've told everybody what's going to be on the show. Oh, and our Bob Dylan segment. We play some Bob Dylan Sooner Later music, too. So, yeah, we're pretty eclectic on the show. We got cabaret and Dylan. What? Sorry? What do you mean? Oh, Joyce wants to play the.
I could do the rap.
She can
Would
do.
you like? Remember Yo MTV Raps? We could do
sure.
Yo DGB Raps.
Actually, my show is more like Yo DGB Craps. But anyway, Joyce is also alluding to. Oh, let's make sure I have the music for it. Yes, okay. So, our first segment that we tend to do on the Dave's Gone By radio show to get things rolling is called Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and it's based on a couple of different stories in our local newspaper, the Greeley Tribune. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time with a little bit of Tom Waits intro for Greeley Crimes and Old Times. There we go. I can't, there's a lot of people listening, which I think is wonderful. I can see the lower people on the scroll, but I can't see the people.
Where's the scroll?
Well, I can see Steve and Gabriello, the guy who was in my play in India.
Oh,
the guy who did my
Gabriello.
one-act play, Gabriello, yeah. I'm not going to use last names, so
Say it like this, namaste.
Yeah. Namaste, Gabriello, and thank you for doing my wonderful show. And hey, you were going to bring that show to another city in India. I'm waiting to hear. So.
But you were big in Chennai.
I was. He's big in Chennai. Alice and Steve, yay, and Jorge, and all the folks who were. I see Karen. Oh, Karen, my God, a theater critic from I think Chicago, way back when. So welcome everybody, and welcome to all the folks who might be listening on our stream, but I don't think our stream is working, so probably not. Anyway, this is also a little annoying because my nose itches, so I want to pick my nose, but now I'm doing it. Now people can watch what I actually do.
Hold the Dave's Gone By in front of here.
Okay, it's out for the moment. Keeper of the handkerchief, because we were watching this Monk this morning. So the way Sharon kind of tends to Monk, this is how my wife tends to me. I'm like, Hunk, if you,
you called me Hunk.
Well, I'm doing cabaret, so there's a lot of gay people listening. So yeah, there you go.
I don't think you call me Hunk. I've been called a lot of things.
Greeley Crimes and Old Times on this episode of the show. So there's two different articles that appear weekly in our local newspaper, the Greeley Tribune. And one tallies up phone calls that come into our local police department, our dispatch. Not the emergency ones, not the really serious, tough crimes, but people who are calling the police department because they need help.
They need a lot of help.
Yeah. And then something else that's really cool is there's another writer there at the newspaper who goes through the newspapers from 100 years ago, from 1917, and he looks for the weirdest, funniest, most nostalgic items that were appearing in our local newspaper. It was called the Greeley Tribune Republican back then, go figure. And they print them out and they put them in the Greeley Tribune. By the way, welcome to Paula and Michael for joining us. My God, we have more people listening now that I'm doing this on Facebook than we ever did, probably in the whole history of the show.
The only thing is, the difference is you can actually see people. That's the difference.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I can't count. I'm not.
This is
Yeah. Well, I see your avatars anyway. And welcome, Ron. Welcome everybody. Oh my God, everybody wants to hear Steve Ross. This is so cool.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah. But you've got a while. I will. I'm not going to bait and switch. I'm going to let you know that we have some other stuff to do. This is a 3-hour show, so we got other stuff to do, and then Steve Ross talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. That's coming soon. But welcome and thank you, Ron, for saying hi. Greeley Crimes. See, I'm distracted. It's the media.
It's shiny.
I am doing fake media. Ooh.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. This
no gobbledygook here.
These are real, ladies and gentlemen, real phone calls that came into our...
Okay, Hunk. Come on, Hunk.
Okay. Police received the call from 25th Avenue and 9th Street here in Greeley.
They call a lot.
The caller was out walking and saw, quote, a burned corpse.
Oh my God!
Well, it's close to Halloween, right? In a front yard. nearby.
It's got to be a fake.
Yeah,
Right?
the caller was uncertain if it was real or not.
Come on, come on. This is not Del Dia de los Muertos.
Right.
It's not the day that you put your corpse in the yard.
It's also not, Mendocino in California.
I mean,
it's like
why
not a
would
real
you burn
corpse.
a corpse?
I don't know why you would burn a corpse in the yard.
It's a fake corpse for Halloween.
And besides, if I were burning a corpse, I'd do it in the basement. So that's it.
No, because then it's better in the backyard.
Well, no, this is the front yard.
Oh.
It's corpse burning time. Yeehaw! Police received a call
Yeah, but
from.
that's really good. If you don't know if it's real or not, that's perfect because that's the intention of the maker.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Oh, sure. They have these great ones where they've got the garage door down,
Yeah.
and you see like
The
blood on the
witch's
bottom of the
feet,
garage,
yeah.
and just the rest of the body, but not
Our
the head.
neighbor has the beautiful, like the cat eyes, the scary cat of the witch
Ooh.
eyes. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I don't have my scary thing. Hold on, you keep
Oh yeah,
talking.
yeah. Get your sound machines.
Keep talking.
Police received a call from 13th Street and 7th Avenue. The caller was in a barber shop earlier in the day and overheard a barber say that he did not have a license to cut hair. And she called the police about
There
this.
goes Vidal Sassoon. Yeah, but it's illegal. You
I guess,
can't-
yeah. If you nick somebody,
Yeah, or also you could what happens if you give someone the wrong highlights or lowlights? I mean, that could make someone suicidal.
that's true.
You know, so.
I would drink Barbasol if somebody did that to me. Vitalis and Barbasol, yeah. And now, two men tried to force their way into the Holt Cobbler Shop in Eaton. Did you know we had a cobbler shop?
Yes.
See, most of these people who are listening, Ron and Michael and Cheryl and Paula and the folks,
They can
I
learn.
can't see your
They
names
can learn
before.
about our old
Yeah.
times.
You're watching in New York, right? You're in some real city.
You're probably fighting a rat for a seat on the subway.
Exactly.
That's my Metro card, you rat.
We're in Greeley. So we have a cobbler shop apparently in Eaton, which is
We
our
had a
next
cobbler
town
shop.
over. Yeah.
It's a shoemaker.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. This is from 100 years ago.
It's a shoemaker.
I confused myself.
Cobbler shop is a shoemaker.
You're right. I know what it is. I know, but I for a moment I blanked and I thought we still had one because we do have a shoemaker person still in Greeley.
It might be the same one.
I know. Right? Well, I'm just cobbling these together. Gaggett, cobbler shop, cobble. And we still have soldiers who are getting killed in Kabul. That's comedy right there. I know. Two men tried to force their way into the Holt Cobbler Shop in Eaton, but the owner shot one of them in the arm.
Ooh.
The two men...
Right, here we go.
Now see if you think this is fair in this era of when we're trying to have some gun control. The two men were fined $10,
Yeah.
and the owner of the shop was fined $25 for disturbing the peace.
Wow.
So they broke into his store,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to steal stuff. He shot him.
You disturbed the guy's arm with his piece. His
I
arm.
guess. He's going to get a handle on it. That's not even, no, doesn't it? The two men, by the way, were arrested Wednesday night, and court had to be postponed until Friday because the men were too drunk to appear in court.
Sounds like a good time.
It felt like really last night with a homecoming, really. Yeah.
Bonfire.
Hey, did you know that police received a call from 9th Avenue and 19th Street, which is just like 2 blocks from where we are. The caller reported a disgruntled employee recently fired, threatening to drive a company vehicle into a swimming pool.
But, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. 19th, I know.
19th Avenue. Oh, maybe it's is that where the police station is in the big community pool?
No.
No, it won't be. Where's there a pool? Well, the pool wouldn't have to be there. Maybe the guy is there who's going to drive the van to the swimming pool.
I don't get it. That's weird.
What you think?
Yeah.
I mean, well, disgruntled. There are worse things a disgruntled employee can threaten to do. I'll tell you. Anyway, actually, it turns out the company made canoes. So not a big deal either way. Police also received a call from 18th Street. The caller was leasing a home to, quote, strange and scary people.
Maybe that corpse, the burning corpse.
I know, right? And every time the caller went to the house, it smelled, quote, very sweet. And this is actually a legitimate question. The caller wanted to know if it was possible that meth smelled like maple syrup. Well, if you don't know...
I mean, do you think that cooking meth, which is a toxic substance, is going to smell like maple syrup?
Well, they say arsenic smells like almonds or tastes like almonds. So
No, that's cyanide.
okay.
Get your poisons right.
I am. What do I know from poison? I'm a young poison.
Honey, here's something I made for you.
Thank you, dear. No, but I don't know if I can know. And I smelled something really. Maybe they're making cookies or fudge.
Probably alcohol. They're making their own wine or something on it.
That one smells sweet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Or maybe they're just stoners, and stoners need to have baked goods around them constantly.
Maybe they're just in line with fall and the pumpkin spice everything movement.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Don't get me. It's not as bad this year as it was last year. But then again, we're still 2 weeks away from Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing that they have, it has to be everything pumpkin spice. Why? Why is
People like
nobody likes it? Nobody wants pumpkin spice anything.
It's the pumpkin lobby.
Is there a pumpkin lobby?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel bad for the gourd lobby and the squash lobby.
Continue.
All right, I'm just
It's
saying.
getting late and I
I'm
gotta
just
get
saying,
your stuff.
stop it with the pumpkin spice. Everything. It's irritating. Anyway, police received a call from the 12th Street Drive. Caller reported a neighbor's son moved into a house across the street and was now hanging out in the garage with a strobe light and a smoke machine.
I think his neighbor was Whitesnake.
Either that or you can tell by the way he uses his walk. He's a woman's man. He has no time to talk. Yeah, when police arrived, though, they found it was just a neighbor working in his garage.
Oh, my God.
But yeah.
All I'm doing is making a new table for the wife. Yeah.
Yeah. But they all said that he's actually subletting to Richard Simmons. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's awesome.
I want a strobe light and a smoke machine in the
But
garage.
how do you get someone working on power tools to be a strobe light?
I don't know. Maybe the flashing thing on a drill looks like the green light on
a
a
smoke machine? I mean, what's that?
They need a mirror ball in the garage. Wouldn't that be the best thing ever?
No.
Why not?
It would get caught with the garage door opener and you cry.
Actually, that'd be great if the mirror ball interacted with the garage door opener. And so the door just starts going up and down every time it circles. And then just to be mean, you bring a couple of epileptics into the room. And you just see what happens to them.
Hey,
I told you I was cruel. I told you I was unkind.
I don't love you anymore.
Oh, thank you, darling. 20 years.
I'm gonna get you a liver steak shake.
Oh, I hope it smells very sweet. That's all I hope. Anyway, we got Greeley Crimes and Old Times that we're doing here on. Oh my God, we have a lawyer watching.
How do you know?
Because he has Esquire after his name.
No, that's the watch. It's not me.
Really? No, I'm serious. The man has Esquire on his moniker. So it's like I have to be really careful that I don't slander anybody. Oh dear. Oh dear. I feel the fetters and the shackles over me.
I don't have the police.
I'll have to say nice things about the president. Oh my God.
Let me find the police thing. Ooh.
Anyway, this is oh God. Check this out. I'm going to preface this, since we have a lawyer watching, by saying this was from a newspaper 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Greeley's Chinese laundryman, Sam Tai Yi, is a strong supporter of the American soldiers. He donated $5 yesterday to the Soldiers Library Fund. Why? I don't know. There's nothing racist about this art, and yet still, when they say Greeley's Chinese laundryman,
it's like, well, it's singular. That's the singular.
I think people just want to hear him say, "I rub Greeley." I rub you very much. Okay, and I'm being sued. There it is. I'm already being sued.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen.
There's your subpoena.
Now, Edward Stanton Duponset, not Greeley's Chinese laundryman.
It's fancy.
A man named Edward Stanton Duponset, or maybe Duponset, a professor at the State Teachers College here, we're kind of familiar with that place, was arrested by New Orleans police and suspected of being, 1917, what?
A German spy.
A German spy. We get so many of these back then.
Really?
However, they could not prove he was a spy, and they released him. Police wouldn't give him permission to leave the city, but he sneaked out and returned to Greeley to teach.
So you would leave New Orleans to come back for the semester?
Yeah, to teach in Greeley, Colorado, our kids. Basically.
God bless him. He's dedicated.
Plus, obviously, they hired me. They would hire anybody.
He's probably pre-tenure.
That's true. We can get a guy out of New Orleans to come back to Greeley, but we can't get some guy out of England or Germany to come run the English department here. It's hilarious.
I don't know.
It's this long-standing thing in my department of like we have a chairman who physically cannot be in America for the past 4 months. He's been trying to get a proper visa to come here and actually run the department, and he can't. So poor guy. I mean, everything's done by phone and email and Skype anyway, but still.
I know.
Anyway, the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, salute your union person. I kind of like unions too. I prefer fried onions to unions, but still. God, my puns are bad today. But the IWW is gaining popularity, but not in all places. In Fort Lupton, officials say, and by the way, I do love the name Fort Lupton. Everybody at home watching, joining me on video or joining me on audio on the Dave's Got My Radio show, we have a place, and it still exists. One of the towns here is called Fort Lupton, Lupton. Everybody say that with me, how that rolls off the tongue. Lupton. Lupton. Isn't that wonderful? Lupton. George is looking at me like I'm a madman. I love saying do I not love saying Fort Lupton? All right. Anyway. In Fort Lupton, officials said they will hang any IWW members who try to interfere with grain operators. Union members placarded Fort Collins and destroyed a grain elevator in Longmont.
Wow.
So the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, you can't sway me. I'm sticking to the union. When are you bringing the AAUP or whatever it is here?
I got my red book.
Chairman Mao's little red book?
No, AAUP red. AAUP has a red book.
AAUP, that's a teachers union, and we're not unionized here yet. Anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay.
Did you have a lot of caffeine today?
I've had some. Here's my first beverage, although Joyce always volunteers to bring me a shake, and my beloved mint tea, which gets me through the day. We're listening, by the way, at what time is it? It's 20 to 10 here, Mountain Time, in Greeley, Colorado, which puts it at 20 to 12 in New York time for all our wonderful and possibly new New York listeners joining us on Facebook. Remember, we've got Steve Ross talking with Rabbi Saul Solomon. That's coming up. We've got Bob Dylan music. We've got Inside Broadway. We've got My Sick Mind. We've got In the News Saturday Segue. We got a bunch of stuff.
And I better go because
let's do a couple more of these.
12:30.
I know. So let me do a couple more of these because we usually go to like 20 after 10 with these.
I know, but we're cutting back an hour and a half hour, so.
Yeah. Police received a call from 10th Avenue and 20th Street. The caller was delivering papers, but was being chased by a naked man who was tall and thin. Well, we know it wasn't Harvey Weinstein, but
why was he being chased?
I don't know why he was being chased by a naked man. Maybe listen to the Randy Newman song, "Beware, Beware of the Naked Man."
Maybe he delivered the wrong paper.
I know. Yeah, okay. Somebody delivered the Greeley Tribune instead of the Denver Post, and the guy runs out of the house. Whoa, right out of the shower. He's like, "No, I need the Post today. You got me the Greeley Tribune, not the Post. Damn you! Damn you!"
That's crazy.
Police. Oh, honey. This is an awe alert. Everybody at home. Oh, and welcome, Paul. This is an awe alert. So the thing is, you have to, on a count of 3, everybody goes, awe. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awe. Here's an awe alert for you from Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Police received a call from 11th Avenue and 5th Street. The caller reported an animal in a tree, but did not say what kind of animal.
Ostrich.
Police arrived to find a porcupine, just hanging out in a tree, not bothering anyone. Oh.
Was it in Garden City? Was he getting in the Rocky Mountain High for the porcupine?
I don't know, but they're calling him Harvey because he had a prominent prick. But that's comedy right there. Thank you. I'm proud.
Can we end on that one?
You want to end on that one, really?
No.
How about this? The Union Colony Pioneers had their annual feast this week and were entertained with a letter from the only surviving members of the original Union colony. Here in Greeley, it's part of the literal Union colony. So the Union colony pioneers were meeting 100 years ago, and they had their feast. And someone there, they got a letter from someone who was part of the original colony. Henry and Mary West, who now live in Idaho, in part, their letter read, quote, "Another year has passed, and we are pleased to respond, still living!" Exclamation point. Yay. I think we're all pleased to say that. We are proud of Greeley and its people.
They're still living.
It has existed for 46 years without a saloon and is a pretty fair city. Well, there you go. Saloon-free for... They probably had a sign up, saloon-free for 46 years.
And now we have a city devoted to marijuana.
That's right. Marijuana, and we've got a bar on every other block.
City, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we end there, or should we try and find something, one more?
You pick it, it's your show.
I'm trying to, well, no, I was going to pick it on camera, but it was gross, so I had to turn away from the camera. Let's see. Police received a call from 31st Street. The caller said a man with a long Dutch boy haircut.
It's Joey Ramone.
Was walking around asking police for information about cameras and security cameras. This is in, what?
You said he was asking police.
Yeah. Well, he called police, but he was asking, the caller was saying that a man was walking around town asking people about security cameras and cameras. And this guy had like a Dutch boy haircut, a long Dutch boy haircut. The man refused to give his name. But I think I know who it was. I think. I hope I have some music here that I can play. That would do it. Let's see. I'm going a long way for a joke here, but it's going to be worth it. I promise you. Do I? No. Oh man. All right. Tell the people about this radio station something. I gotta find this.
You like talking.
No, I'm off mic because I'm looking. Well, I guess I can do it. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. So keep in mind, folks, the long Dutch boy haircut.
Joey Ramone.
Walking around. Oh, I lost not the internet again.
I'll get it.
Son of a gun.
You talk, I'll get it. What do you want?
While I'm doing that, I'm going to remind you that the Dave's Got My Radio program has been on the air, just get YouTube, for 15 years. We started back in October of 2002 on a small Long Island radio station. In fact, Trevor from that radio station is watching, so hello, Trevor, again. What else? And we were there for about 7 years, late nights usually. Then we kind of moved to Monday evenings. But my wife came out here, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, to teach at the University of Northern Colorado. And Dave's Gone By has been here ever since for about 7 or 8 years now, doing our thing every Saturday morning from 9 until noon Mountain Time here at uncradio.org. Now, my website is davesgoneby.com, DAVESGONEBY.com. This is the place to see pictures of me and pictures of the show, the history of the show, but most importantly, the archives, especially since now we're having all these issues with our web stream. Well, not this Facebook stream, but our actual audio radio station stream. We're having some technical issues with it. So, thank you, baby. That's my beautiful wife, by the way. Joyce Wave, you were actually on TV for a minute. Hello. Hey, sweetie. Do you want to wear the duty ears?
No, do your thing.
Okay.
It's YouTube. I got to get your stuff because we got to go early.
Yeah. So, what I'm just reminding people or telling folks that if you can't listen to our radio station live, you can...
Do you want time?
Huh?
Do you want time?
Oh, I want the chocolate shake and the mint tea. Is that
what
you
song?
I wonder if I'm sure the computer picked that up, but we're so far away from the setup of the joke that it's going to be not even. But still, I'm going to do it. But our archives are at davesgoneby.com. So every show we've ever done, just pick one. Is
it mean the albino?
Yes, with the page boy Dutch haircut. All our archives are there for free.
This one?
Download them, stream them, pick one. Yeah. So they found this guy walking around asking about security cameras with a Dutch boy haircut. Oh boy, isn't this going to be worth it? Ladies and gentlemen, it must have been Heino.
Zum roten Abendhimmel quoll der Rauch. Das war ein Singen in dem ganzen Heere, und ihre Reiterbuben sangen auch. Das war ein Singen in dem ganzen Heere, und ihre Reiterbuben sangen auch.
Well, wasn't that worth it, ladies and gentlemen?
No.
Oh boy, you have this thing against. What do you have against Heino?
I saw him.
Wait a minute. Sit, no, go to the mic. Go to the mic.
So
Wait a minute. You saw Heino live?
yes,
When?
So my mom's friend is a gacher. And
Which
the
means what?
Gachers, it's from the Gacher region of
I got a chair here,
we
but-
always say Gachis, but from the
Yeah.
region of Germany, and they love him. So
Yeah.
we used to go to this. It was some kind of thing at the Gacher Club. They used to have like a costume party, and you go out, and it was like an Oktoberfest, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then one time they all went to see him play. I've seen him play.
You never told me
People
that.
loved him. Yeah, he was beloved.
I tried to put it on in the car one time, and you got angry because I was making like a Nazi reference
Well,
or
I
something.
don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
I grew up in a German neighborhood. Well, at that time, Italian and German, and then Dominican and multi kind of ethnic and racial. But
Yeah.
I don't know. My mom always said we're Austrian. We don't speak German. We speak our language.
I know, but what does that have to do with not liking?
It's a little bit too. I don't know.
Well, it's a little kitschy, but he's great. I know. Okay. Anyway, well, you know he is, and I know he is.
Okay, what do you want, chocolate?
Chocolate shake, please, and anything else that you want to surprise me with.
Do you want food?
No, I'm good. I'm certainly not going to eat on camera, so no food.
Okay.
Just beverage eye,
Chocolate
and make sure to leave the door open. Get back in. Anyway, so I was telling you guys. Thank you, babe. I was telling you about the website, davesgoneby.com, which has all the archives of every show we've ever done. So you can stream them, you can listen via MP3, you can, if you're afraid of downloading them, you can also just stream them directly on your computer. It's absolutely free. You can hear the interviews we've done with amazing people, some of the folks that I mentioned earlier in the show when we were talking about cabaret and theater greats who have been on Dave's Gone By. You can listen to those anytime, and we even have a separate archive of just our interviews with everything else, all the music, all the other show stuff, this stuff stripped out. So check it out, but don't check that out now. Stay with me here because we're live on this October 17th. Is it? No, it isn't. Sorry, hold on. It's October 21st. Forgive me. 2017, our 625th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air. We've got Steve Ross coming up talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. We've got our Bob Dylan segment. We've got our My Sick Mind segment. We've got, what else? Our Saturday segue of songs in the news. Tons of stuff not to be missed. But before anything else, I do love me some theater, because we'll be talking cabaret in a little while, of course. But before anything else, we like to go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto, of letting you know what's happening on the stages, of New York. So without further ado or a don't, here is our Inside Broadway theme. Inside Broadway, a look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond, brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Squiddly-yutton, squiddly-doo, squiddly-yutton. Yes, Inside Broadway we go, ladies and gentlemen, for news of the Rialto, because I love the theater. And I know I say this every week, but we get all these new listeners. So I want to explain why we do the segments that we do on Dave's Gone By. And you can turn on any channel, any news program, any late night program, and see who's in the latest movie, learn about all the big, mostly superhero movies coming out. And you all know what's happening in terms of all the music stars and what they're doing. And they're on TMZ. And you know when Taylor Swift has an album out. And you know when Beyonce has an album out and whoever else. But the theater, if you're not in New York especially, okay, so you hear about Hamilton, and you don't really hear about anything else. what's going on inside Broadway. Well, I've been a theater critic for 30 years, and I'm an award-winning whoop-de-doo playwright, and I've also written for major organizations, theater news and entertainment and arts news. And I still have a regular theater column in Long Island Pulse magazine. So I'm in the biz to an extent, even though I'm 2,000 miles away. Well, the way Al Pacino gets pulled back in The Godfather 3, I'm always pulled back in to the theater in New York. As a matter of fact, I'm going there next week to see a bunch of shows. So we do our Inside Broadway segment to talk about what's happening on the stages of New York. Well, tickets went on sale this week for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, a Broadway show. It's been playing in London. Now they're moving it to Broadway at the Lyric Theater. It's opening on April 22nd. That's the official date. Demand was so great, and who did not expect this? Ticketmaster was overloaded. Wait times, people were on the phone for half an hour and a half. And by the time most fans got to try and buy their tickets, well, gee, surprise, all the cheaper seats were gone, and the cheapest ones left were $200. Surprise. It's just, I've ranted and bitched about Broadway and theater ticket pricing long before I was on the air. And I was talking, in fact, last week when we were talking about the Springsteen opening, the Bruce Springsteen on Broadway show, and saying how the one time in my life that I waited overnight online outside was to see Bruce Springsteen back in the day. It wasn't just me, it was all our friends went to do it. And by the time we got there and we had our little bracelets on, and it was a communal thing, but it was still not enjoyable to spend 10 hours just hanging out on a sidewalk waiting to buy tickets for a concert. But we did. And by the time that we did, to save our place in line to buy these tickets in Cedarhurst to see Bruce Springsteen that morning, the hour before tickets were going to officially go on sale, suddenly all these other people showed up. The orderly line that we had was completely out of order. People who were 12th in line were now 83rd in line. It was. We did get our tickets, but it was a mess. And that has been going on. This was, again, my friends and I were Springsteen fans since before Born to Run, but this was the Born in the USA tour. So everybody was a Springsteen fan at that point. So if you want to tell me that, gee, somehow all the cheaper Harry Potter tickets disappeared immediately, I wonder where they went. And those cheaper Harry Potter tickets are, of course, going to be $300 on the resale market. Anyway, the play, by the way, in case you get to go see it, is a sequel to the book series. So people might think that, they're putting Harry Potter on Broadway. It's going to be musical. It'll be the first book when Harry comes to Hogwarts. It's nothing like that. It's actually about Potter and Malfoy's children. And they're going to school together, and they're becoming friends, but the sins of the fathers, ... I actually read the play. They have it in our local library. And it sure sounds interesting. It sounds like a good story. I complained probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, just from reading the script, that they're not bothering to follow the rules of theater anymore. Because now if you throw enough money at something, you can do anything with effects and pyrotechnics. So you can make a movie on stage, and that's probably what they're doing. So every scene is a minute and a half long, and then another set, and another scene, and another special effect, and that's great, and that's fabulous, and it's why people are paying $500. But, sometimes I miss the old Aristotelian thing of, hey, Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron Weasley, there's these black boxes, and they're creating their space and their universe, and then, a wand is a special effect, and maybe there's a light change. And that's all you need. It's theater. You want to make a movie, make another movie. Don't put it on a Broadway stage. Anyway, maybe it's wonderful. The reviews in London are amazing. It's 5.5 friggin' hours long, so it better be good. Anyway, tickets are on sale for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at the Lyric Theater, opening on April 22nd. Gotta say a sad farewell to a poet who passed away this past week, Richard Wilbur. He died on Saturday at age 96, not too shabby, in a nursing home. He went to Amherst and he was at Harvard. Then he taught at Wesleyan and Smith. Main thing is he also won 2 Pulitzer Prizes for his poetry. Why do we mention him here? on Inside Broadway? Why is Richard Wilbur so important to us? Well, he was especially known for, and the reason that I loved him when I was in my teens and 20s, is he was doing the great and still probably the best translations of Moliere plays. He made them funny in the modern new language. They were rhyming still, but they weren't stuffy and they weren't precious. They just read and played so easily that for many, many years, the only translations of Tartuffe and of The Misanthrope and of The Learned Ladies that you would see or read were Richard Wilbur's versions. Just because he redid the paradigm. He was the Moliere translator to go to. And he also did Corneille and Racine. He translated those guys. And I wonder if you know that there was a little show called Candide, not the play that I wrote, Candide, with a K. It's all about the Holocaust and stuff, which, by the way, someone should produce. Producers, if you're watching. Anyway, no, this is the musical Candide that was worked on by Leonard Bernstein and Jean Latouche, I think. Richard Wilbur wrote the lyrics for some of the songs in that Candide, including the very famous, the Barbara Cook number, Glitter and Be Gay. Richard Wilbur wrote that. So, farewell, Richard Wilbur. Anyway, farewell to him. And he won, by the way, a special Drama Desk Award for his Misanthrope translation back in 1983. So, Wilbur, bye-bye to you, and thanks so much. Hey, it's the week of butterflying. Huh? Yep, M. Butterfly is opening this week on Broadway, a revival of the David Henry Hwang play directed by Julie Taymor. So everybody's kind of interested in this. It's at the Court Theater. It's opening this Thursday night, and this is the show that won the Tony back in 1988 for Best Play, and it made, obviously, David Henry Hwang, who went on to write other plays. He wrote Chinglish, and he wrote the book for that revival of Flower Drum Song. Basically, he's the Chinese go-to guy for Broadway, as like Sam Tai Yi was the go-to guy for Chinese Laundry in Greeley 100 years ago. Julie Taymor, of course, staged The Lion King, as well as the Spider-Man, and what else? Oh, and it stars Clive Owen as Gallimard. He's this French diplomat, this ambassador, who falls in love with a Chinese opera songstress, except there's more to her that he doesn't quite realize. About 5 inches more to her. But anyway, Clive Owen was in the film Closer, and a newcomer to Broadway, Jin Ha, is playing the Chinese actress in M. Butterfly. It is opening on Thursday, as I said, at the Court Theater. Hey, I want to remind you guys of a couple of things. We couldn't do this Inside Broadway segment that we do every week here on Dave's Gone By without acknowledging the sponsorship and the help of the Total Theater Company, this wonderful company that I happen to be involved with that does two great things. First of all, they have a free website of theater reviews from all over the world. It's called totaltheater.com, totaltheater.com. If you go there, if you go right to the homepage and click on What's New, you'll see a list with hyperlinks of all these shows still open, still running in New York, in Los Angeles, in Seattle sometimes, I mean, all over the world, festivals, in the Stratford Festival as well. You can read them for free. There's no charge. It's a free website of theater reviews, plus a ton of Broadway reviews and some off-Broadway reviews too. TotalTheater.com. There's also a periodica section of stories of people about the theater, making theater all over the world. Now, the Total Theater Company also puts out a hard copy magazine, a journal, if you will, called Performing Arts Insider that has been the Bible of Broadway since 1944. I didn't get involved with it until about 15 years ago, but Performing Arts Insider was there to kind of tell folks in the industry, hey, this show is opening, here's who's in it, here's the producers, here's how to contact them, here's the stage managers, the production managers. It was a basic list of all the shows and all the technical detailed information that you would want about those shows on, off. Back then, there wasn't really much of an off Broadway, but now there is. So Performing Arts Insider has expanded during recent years under my stewardship, I do take credit for this, to Broadway, off-Broadway, and off-Broadway shows. Everything you could possibly want to know about the shows. So people who subscribe to Performing Arts Insider include the folks who book for talk shows and late night TV shows, also folks who run touring houses in America, and they want to contact the managers and agents and stage managers involved with Broadway and off-Broadway shows. It's all there succinctly in the pages of Performing Arts Insider, which comes out 21 times a year in hard copy. It's an old-fashioned journal that people can read on the train, on the airplane, on the toilet, wherever you actually get to read things that are on paper. You can read Performing Arts Insider, which is the Bible of Broadway. If you don't want to go for the 21 issues per year, you can go for 12 issues a year. It's a bit cheaper. You can find out all that information.
They didn't have lemon tea, so I get you that.
They have all that information there.
Performing Arts Insider.
I know it's Performing Arts Insider. I lost my train of thought because Joyce was kind enough to bring me my agave vanilla soda. Oh, I'm dying to try this.
In the back.
Mm.
I'll open it for you here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to open. We might have to use a. Oh, thank you, and my shake.
Oh.
God bless her. Mm.
I got gum too.
Go to performingartsinsider.com. It is, again, the magazine isn't online, but all the information about subscribing is. So performingartsinsider.com. It is the Bible of Broadway and remains so. We're in the middle of Inside Broadway here on Dave's Gone By. I got to do another bit of a farewell here. Farewell this past week to the actor Roy Dotrice, who died at the age of 94. Did you know that Roy Dotrice, I'm just reading here, but did you know that he was in a German POW camp? He got out of that. I guess he was treated okay. And then he got involved in an early version of the Royal Shakespeare Company. And, God, hon, what are you looking for over there?
The bottle openers they used to have in here.
Oh, God, I don't know if we have any bottle openers at all. I'm going to have to break it off with my teeth. Okay, you found one? Excellent. Oh, I got to try this. Joyce is opening my bottle of vanilla agave soda. I'll bet it's good. I hope it's good. Thank you so much, dear.
It's agave vanilla. It's new.
L'chaim. Clink. All right, let's try it.
What's this?
Mm.
What's this?
Oh, we're going to interrupt Inside Broadway for a very important thing, ladies and
How is
gentlemen.
it?
It's delicious. You want to try some? Fun, stay. Let's do this. This is very important. Oh, yes, I know. We've got Steve Ross coming up. We've got Bob Dylan music coming up. We've got our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News coming up. We've got My Sick Mind coming up. And we'll finish more Inside Broadway stuff in a moment. But, oh my God, hon, can you bring me that object? This is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, courtesy of eBay. Oh, there we go. This is huge. This is unbelievable. Folks who know me know that this is a very important thing for me. Let's see if I can open this with like a scissor. Here we go, I think. Give me a mo. Oh, hon, are you excited? Are you thrilled like I am? What do you think it could be, Dave?
Your herpes?
Should I send my herpes? Hold on. No, ladies and gentlemen. It's like Christmas and Yom Kippur rolled into one. Here we go.
Give me the garbage.
It's wait. Let me get him out of his he was doing some sexual asphyxiation thing here. Oh, my friends, it is
You did not buy another one.
a potato. Hi. It's a potato, honey. Aren't you excited?
Can you garrote him with your tongue?
Joyce doesn't like the potatoes the way I kind of do. So, oh my God, just as a Broadway producer logged on, to this show, I'm holding up the brand new potato I just got on eBay. Actually, they're not brand new. They were made in 1996 in China.
I'll see you 12:30.
I collect these things. 12:30, I'll catch you in front of Gudra. Love you, man. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. I'm Dave, doing the Dave's Gone By radio show. Oh my God, Steve from the old gang. Yay! Hello, Stephen, and hello, Frank, and hello, Paul, and Jeffrey, and Albert.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So welcome. We've got Steve Ross coming up on the Dave's Gone By radio show. I just got really excited because my new potato came from eBay. So I'm tremendously joyful about this. And who wouldn't be? I need to put this in a place where you can, there he is. Oh, isn't he beautiful?
It's your schnapps.
So let's get back to Inside Broadway. Thank you, babe. I'll see you at 12:30. Inside Broadway, where we talk about stuff that's happening in the theater on Broadway, including a farewell to Roy Dotrice, who passed away at the age of 94. He was in what would later become the Royal Shakespeare Company. He was, I wouldn't say he was a founder, but he was there very early on. Mostly, Dotrice was known for doing solo shows, both in London and the United States. He did Brief Lives back in 1967, and again brought it here in 1974, and a show called Mr. Lincoln that played on Broadway for a couple of weeks in 1980. He was a Tony winner. He won in the 2004 revival of A Moon for the Misbegotten. That was the one with Cherry Jones playing Josie Hogan. He won a Tony for playing Phil. I assume that was the father, the boisterous drunken father role in A Moon for the Misbegotten. And in 1981, he was Tony nominated again for Hugh Leonard's play. He's the guy who wrote Da. He was Tony nominated for A Life with Pat Hingle, Helen Stenborg, and this new actress that you never heard of named Dana Delaney. Go figure. Anyway, farewell to Roy Dotrice. And there's news of a musical that they're pretty sure is going to come to Broadway. It's set the date, but it's not going to be this season. It's going to be a year away. It's called The Prom. And it's got some pretty cool people behind it. It's got Bob Martin, the drowsy chaperone guy. He helped write it, and he was also the man in the chair. You have Chad Begwelin co-writing the book. You've got Jack Bertel. It was based on his idea. And by the way, if you want to read a great book about theater and about how musicals are constructed, you start with the Jack Bertel book on that. It's wonderful. And Matthew Sklar doing the music. Matthew Sklar did the music for the Broadway show Elf, that I think is coming back to Madison Square Garden this winter. And what else? And it's directed and choreographed by Casey Nicholaw, who directed or co-directed a little show you might have heard of called The Book of Mormon. And what else? Well, this show, Prom Kings, is going to open November 15th, 2018 at a Schubert Theater to be announced. They probably have a theater in mind, but there's a show playing there that hasn't announced its closing, so they can't say, ooh, we have our eye on this place. As soon as that show closes, they can say officially, aha, we're going in. But it's called Prom Kings, and it's all about this fading celebrities who are helping a lesbian girl when her prom is canceled because of a homophobic town. It'll be, as I said, I don't know if it's trying out or where it's trying out. I just know that they've set the date for Broadway a year or so from now. And, well, here we are in Greeley, Colorado, where we're near the foothills of the Rocky Mountains and kind of close to prairies and plains. So thinking in terms of little prairie, God, this is a long segue, just to mention that Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie is going to be off Broadway. She is going into a show called The Dead 1904, which is being produced by or co-produced by the Irish Repertory Theatre. And it's an adaptation of James Joyce's great short story, The Dead, and it's going to be running the middle of November through early January, not at Irish Rep's usual regular home. They're doing it at the American Irish Historical Society, and it's an adaptation by Paul Muldoon. I think I wrote that wrong. It's probably Paul Muldoon. And Jean Hank Korelitz doing their version of the James Joyce short story. Now, it's all about this married couple at a party, and they're singing and listening to singers and having a fine old time. But then a name of someone from the wife's past is brought up, and it changes the whole nature and complexity of their relationship. It's a great short story. And do not confuse this with a show called James Joyce's The Dead, as opposed to John Grisham's The Dead. But then there was a musical called James Joyce's The Dead on Broadway about 15, 17 years ago or so. And it was actually pretty good. I saw it. And so in honor of this new adaptation of The Dead that's going to be starring Melissa Gilbert off Broadway, in November, we're going to play, if I can find it, yep, there it is, a piece from the 2000 Tony Awards, where The Dead was up. I guess they must have been nominated for Best Musical at that point. And so they did a scene, as they do on the Tonys, for all the shows that are nominated, and these days, for any show that pays. Here's a sequence from James Joyce's The Dead on Broadway all those years ago.
Mrs. Morton's annual Christmas party was always a great musical affair. Never once did it fall flat. For 30 years there was a party, and for 30 years everyone sang and everyone danced.
I think this is one you all know. Which, what you're going to do? It's the Parnell song.
Oh, no. Aren't we tired of simplistic patriotism? I hate this song. It's mindless.
I love it.
Do you now? What's the point?
Of Parnell night, who blushes at the name, when Howard Smucker hatred right,
Who hangs his head in shame? Oh, hangs his head in shame. He's on a nail and half a state, who slights his country does. But a Cuban, will your glass with us? Well, fill your glass with us. Sun on the shores of distant lands, the weary heart have made, and by the stream his heedless hands have only waves were made, and only waves were made. But for their clay be far away, beyond the Atlantic road, to you then I say,
For Christ's sake, don't come home.
for Christ's sake,
the shores of distant lands, the weary hearts may flare. To my country, with God's love, for a faithful good and fair.
So at this point, those of you listening on Facebook, we're playing some music which unfortunately does not come out as well as the live talking here. But also we're playing, just in a couple of moments, Rabbi Saul Solomon's interview with cabaret legend Steve Ross. Should sound pretty good. We're hoping the audio will be pretty good on this. So stick with us, because it's going to be wonderful.
Hello, this is Steve Ross, and I'm talking with Rabbi Saul Solomon at Dave's Gone By UNC Radio.
Who to tell your troubles to, and a sympathetic ear to cheer you when you're blue, wipe away each little tear. When there's no one left, you are not bereft. There is always little me, old reliable. When When a job goes down the drain and your landlord ups the rent, when you fall in love in vain or you give it up for Lent, when they fry the coop, leave you in the soup, who'll come through with lentils and to get the fundamentals when the chips are really down? Who will not be out of town or a blabbermouth? Who will always care most, hang around your door most when you're in despair most? Who's the one who pays the foremost? Who's your first and foremost? Obviously, when you add it all up, ever loving little me. After you have played the field, should that field no longer yield possibilities? Who'll supply one greener? Who'll supply one finer? Who'll cook your farina, be your keeper and co-signer? Who's your Einer Kleiner cup of tea when you boil it all down and you add it all up for the loyalty crown and the string along tuck? Or in other words, who'll still call you my necessity when you want to come home? Ever loving little me, black and blue, old and gray, tried and true, night and day. Yours sincerely, little me.
Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my musical friends and listeners. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am so delighted to be talking music and cabaret and nightclubs with a very special person, one of the absolute all-time bests in the field. In fact, the New York Times has called this man the Crown Prince of New York Cabaret. And I'm called the Clown Prince of my synagogue, so that's a difference right there. This is the man, let me tell you, who reopened the Algonquin Oak Room to cabaret after many years. And he's played at the Rainbow Room in Spoleto, in Hong Kong, in Perth, in Brazil. Oddly enough, he's never played Greeley, Colorado, but we hope to change that someday. He has a dapper, swelligant persona, kind of like Stan Laurel almost in a tux. A 1992 MAC Award winner. He was on Broadway and Present Laughter many years ago. The San Francisco Chronicle wrote about Steve Ross. Attending his performance is like opening a treasure chest of great, often rare songs. No one performing today is his equal. And you can see him on October 23rd at Birdland in New York, playing the songs of Irving Berlin. Please welcome to the Daverhood our new friend, Steve Ross. Shalom, Steve.
Shalom to you, Saul. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Now, first of all, what is your Hebrew name?
My Hebrew name would be Steve Ben Clifford.
I like that. So I sometimes talk a little bit religiously. Were you raised religiously at all, or atheistic, or?
I was raised as a Roman Catholic, and I'm still recovering. But there was a Christian background, but I've always been and I remain to this day, very curious about other people's journeys toward God, or who they perceive as God, or the spiritual world. And sometimes that even affects my art, I think. But I've tried to be what I like in people. There are two traits that I like, and I think you already have them from only knowing you for 30 seconds.
What would those be? What are they?
The two traits are curiosity,
okay,
and enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I thought you were going to say kindness and decency, which absolutely not.
I'm sure you're a great humanitarian, but as far as the traits of people that I like to spend time with, curiosity, you can't infuse that. You either have that or you don't. And to be enthusiastic about anything, collecting guppies, stamps, friends, writing music, it is a great gift that you have, if you have that, I believe, don't you?
I do indeed, and the gift of music to you apparently stemmed from your mamala, playing at the piano or something? How did that?
At the piano, absolutely. My father listening on Saturday afternoons to the opera while he worked. But my mother was the pianist, and she gave me this great gift, and I was able to achieve a certain amount of in my career, and to show her. As a matter of fact, I haven't done it much, but I did play with the symphony orchestra once, and to me that represented quite an achievement, and she was able to be there, and I felt really that I had made her proud.
Oh, that's so. Your parents lived for a good period of time into your success.
Yeah, they did. This was probably, she was in her 60s or something when she heard me do this concert with the Roanoke Symphony. In fact, it was a Cole Porter orchestration that I had two wonderful Jewish boys orchestrated this. You may know of the great vaudevillian who recently passed, Fivish Finkel.
Oh, he was on my program. I talked to him. What a wonderful man. Oh my God.
Was supreme. He was the best man in the world, and he has two extremely talented sons.
Ian and who's the other one?
Ian and Elliot.
Elliot Finkel. Well, one of them was also on this program because he's a writer. I think it was Ian. He writes mystery novels and things.
And one of the best xylophone players in the world, so self-styled, and he probably is. And Elliot is a brilliant pianist and orchestrator. So I chose them, and I engaged them to do these symphonic arrangements, and they're just marvelous. So I feel that I'm basically Jewish. I really have to.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's terrible because your penis just shrank 3 inches. But, you know.
No. Listen, my name, as you know, Saul, was often a name change in the 40s. My grandfather was kind of in the movie business, and his name was Harry Ross. Harry, so sounds like it could have been Harry Ross.
No kidding.
Harry Rossman, but it was Harry Ross, and since he was in the movie business, so I always thought basically I was a changeling, and I was basically Jewish. So
it could. I mean, honestly, when your parents, where were they? What was the background? I know you were raised.
My father was vaguely Christian, and my mother was a very good Catholic lady. She had her 5 children, of whom I was the second, and.
But country-wise, the origin.
Oh, well, the background is, I wish there were, in fact, a little bit of Mediterranean in me. Although I haven't done the DNA test, it's Irish, Welsh, Scottish, and English, very, very nice.
Not even Harry Ross.
I always wanted there to be a little Italian, a little Jewish, a little Gypsy, that I would have been a little bolder in my life. But these are all conjectures. The main thing is that I love music, and so many people have written it, and I'm happy to continue to play it.
When did you start taking actual piano lessons?
I think it was with Mrs. Mahoney. Do you remember her?
I'm afraid not. No. I know a Mrs. Mahonowitz, but it was on the side of town, yeah.
If you were in the small town of Millbrook, New York, in I want to say 1945. I started when I was about 7 years old, I think, and we went on from there. I had a lot of different teachers along the way for everything, as we travel. But she was my first piano teacher, and she was a lovely lady. Then I studied with one of the nuns who was at the Catholic school I was attending. And my mother, we lived about an hour, maybe an hour and a half outside of New York City, and my father worked in the city. So I remember distinctly overhearing her call Juilliard and saying, look, I've got a talented son. Do you have any master students or who could teach him? She wasn't enrolling me in the school, but she thought it might be a graduate student. And I went down and studied with him for a while. She could never remember his name. He probably ended up being, a world-famous pianist. But they took my music. My mother took my music very seriously. And as a matter of fact, when I didn't practice one year, she stopped my lessons. But then I got back into her good graces.
I was going to ask that because even as a child, and you love music and you love the piano, took it seriously, but still, you're a kid. You got to sit down 45 minutes to an hour and a half every day. Other kids are out there playing and hitting each other with sticks.
Yeah. Well, I was never a sportsman, but I somehow I'm indolent about the whole thing. And she said, okay. I mean, she said, well, since you're not going to practice, well, just do other things. But I kind of missed it, and we were moving, so she let me play it again. Because she played by ear, and see, that's always the easiest thing.
No, playing with your fingers is much easier than the ear.
No, it's true. Physically, it's your ear. But, so she, and I thought that was the way people played. So I played by ear with little high school things, and I picked up songs. And I knew that I was too dedicated to instant gratification to practice for the 7 or 8 hours requisite to being a concert pianist. So I never got far in the classical world. But I left college because I was already playing in a saloon, and that's how it started all those years ago. And I never looked back.
You look and sound so elegant in that old-fashioned style. That's two things I can't picture you doing. Playing in a real saloon as opposed to...
Well, we all started in saloons. We didn't start in fancy nightclubs. I was at Georgetown University or Catholic University, and I wanted a job, and the thing I knew how to do was to play the piano, and there was ragtime was kind of around in that first go-round in the 60s. And there was a ragtime piano bar near me, and I love ragtime, so I got my little boater hat and the garters on my striped shirt and started playing ragtime, and that was one of my very first jobs, and I loved it. But I love being with the people, I love the attention, and I love playing. So that was kind of what took me on the path.
Well, I mean, I believe it now, and I can sort of see it now, but the other thing is, I cannot picture you in the military.
I was in the Army. I was drafted right out of that ragtime job, as a matter of fact, in 1961. And this was the draft, so I went. And I was very lucky because the horrors of Vietnam were yet to unfold. And I got a job in a special services thing where I was in a hospital, and we were trying to put on shows, and so I was the piano player of the shows, and so it was a kind of an easy little 2 years for me, and I got out.
And where was it? Where were you stationed?
It was in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, so you didn't even leave American soil. You were fine.
Never did. Both of my brothers were in the Marines, and both of them fought in Vietnam, but I kind of lucked out with that one.
Well, how are they doing? Did they get out of Vietnam, and were they okay?
One of my brothers has passed away, but as perhaps you have experienced, the other one never talks about it. And I've known this with many vets. They just don't wish to talk about it because it was so awful, or whatever it was. It was not a memory that they want to go over. Although they're the old thing of when you talk to an old soldier, you want to relive the battles and all that. But I've never been interested in that, and he's never talked about it particularly. So I don't talk about it myself.
Well, let me tell you, a couple of days ago, I went to a diner. I had a terrible breakfast. Can't discuss it. Probably not for weeks.
But you were traumatized by those scrambled eggs.
Oh, they were rubbery. I can't. It's PTS.
And listen, I don't want to bring up a bad memory. We're having a nice time.
Right.
I understand that.
It's PTXD, if you think about it. I don't even know what that means.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but now you became known, and you're still really known, basically for Cole Porter and Noel Coward, even though your repertoire goes far beyond that. How did that? Was that just a natural gravitation to that kind of song?
Well, I tell you what, I didn't begin as a singer. I began as a piano player, and when I moved to New York, I had sung in public twice or 3 times. And I used to sing funny little English music hall songs. I never thought I could sing, but I knew I could play the piano. So when I finally, at a much delayed hour, not until 30, I moved to New York, although I lived nearby and visited all the time. And I always tell the story, I was in therapy because something must have been wrong. I don't know what it was. And when I noticed that the therapist was dropping off, I said, this is the time. The writing was on the ceiling, and I got into my car, and I moved to New York City. But when I went to get this job, they said, well, you sing too. I said, I don't sing. They said, well, do you want the job? We're not going to hire 2 people. And I said, of course I sing. Of course, I had to learn some songs really quickly and learn how to sing. And many teachers, and many years later, I can't imagine performing without singing as well. But when I first sang, I was very attracted to songs that had clever words because I didn't have the big tones that the big singers had. So that was what drew me to Cole Porter, because of the great cleverness and sophistication of his lyrics. So I would sing a couple of those songs, and then from then on I went on. But I started off singing kind of funny ditties, and there are so many brilliant ones from the American Songbook, all the different composers, Yip Harburg and Lorenz Hart and Berlin. So then I moved on to ballads when I found out I could hold a note longer than a minute.
Well, this was a minute. That's a pretty long time.
No, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I think you're starting the way Sprech singing, this kind of talk sing, the Rex Harrison thing, although a little more tuneful than he.
Yes, I always could sing on pitch, but it's just that I, didn't trust my ability, quite frankly, to move an audience with a love song. Most songs in the songbook or in the world songbook, of course, there are songs of protest, songs of activism, songs but most songs seem to deal with the elusive emotion of romantic love in one way or the other, don't they?
Well, like my personal favorite, Oogie, Oogie, Oogie. I always,
that's the troubadour's task, is to sing those songs and to put into the songs the emotions that we all feel, but not elegantly expressed. So I never thought I could do that, and I used to teach. I still teach. I still work with students, and I was demonstrating a ballad to this student, and he said, "Oh, you ought to sing that." And I said, "Oh no, I don't sing ballads. I just sing funny songs." And at that saloon that I was working at that night, I remember this vividly. I tried to sing this song, and I won't say there was a hushed silence, but I will say that people paid attention, and it was a very heady, life-changing experience for me to realize that I could sing a love song, putting my own feelings into it, and have other people identify it. And I have never looked back from that either.
My story is much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case when I'm out on a quiet spree, fighting vainly the old ennui. Then I suddenly turn and see your fabulous face. I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Some get a kick from cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, that would bore me terrifically too. Yet I get a kick out of you. I get a kick every time I see you're standing there before me. I get a kick, though it's clear to me you obviously don't adore me. I get no kick in a plane, flying too high with some guy in the sky is my idea of nothing to do. Yet I get a kick out of you. In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking, but now God knows anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words, writing prose. Anything goes. The world has gone mad today. today, good, bad today, blacks, white today, days, nights today, and most guys today, that women prize today, are just silly gigolos. And though I'm not a great romancer, I know that you're bound to answer when I propose. Anything goes when mothers pack and leave for father because they decide they'd rather be a tennis pro. Anything goes when you hear that Lady Mendel standing up now turns a hamstring landing up on her toes. Anything goes if driving fast, cars you like, if low bars you like, if old hymns you like, if bare limbs you like, if Mae West you like, or me undressed you like, why nobody will oppose. Just think of those shots you've got, and those knocks you've got, and those balloons you've got, from that news you've got, and those pains you've got, if any brains you've got from those little radios. When every night the set that's smart is intruding in nudist parties in studios. Anything goes.
Hello, this is Steve Ross, and I'm talking with Rabbi Saul Sullivan.
Actually, one of the difficult things I've always found is about sing a song that has real emotion in it for me, and I find very touching and moving and stuff. It's hard for me not to give over and cry during the song, which of course kills the song for anybody listening to it. How do you deal with that if you're really emotional about a song already?
Yes, I understand that. There was one marvelous singer, I've forgotten her name, a black lady who used to sing when I first came here, and that was the only person who could cry and sing. And I remember her. She walked up to the piano with a box of Kleenex. We knew that she was going to be crying, but somehow it was part of her thing. I like the when I rehearse a song and I really love it, I'm very rarely moved even to the verge of tears. I get it. I like it. When I am on the job and I feel the energy coming back from the audience and I am taking myself and them to an emotional place, that's when I get just to the edge of tears, but I have never cried because that would cut the whole thing off. It would be distracting and the audience couldn't continue on the journey because they would all of a sudden, what's wrong with him? And so I see what you meant, but tears do not come that readily while I'm performing.
If you get verklempt, it preempts the audience from being verklempt. It's like about actors who, you don't cry on stage, you get to the verge of it, so the audience has the release. It's that kind of a thing.
Yes, that's exactly. Well, I never knew what verklempt really meant. Does that mean emotional?
Well, according to Mike Myers, you get the lump in the throat, you get a little bit of a tearing up.
It's about to have an emotional thing. It's verklempt. Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's sort of like a constipation of emotions, if you will.
Well, you're just holding them back.
Exactly.
Got it.
We're talking constipation here with the wonderful Steve Ross.
Thing that I've talked about in previous interviews, I have to say.
I would hope not. That's why you're talking to me, Rabbi Sal, here on Dave's Gone By. By the way, I should reiterate that you can go see Steve Ross in Come On In Here, an Irving Berlin celebration that he is doing at Birdland on October 23rd. So when did you discover, I guess early on you weren't just doing Cold Party, you discovered Berlin pretty soon after that.
Yeah, the great songs. I mean, I'm in my 70s now, so the great songs on radio were played, and my mother played them when we had recordings. I can't remember. Well, I tell you, when I started working outside of Ragtime, when I went to a regular piano bar job, obviously I had to prepare myself for requests. That was how I made a lot of my income. And I got what they used to call, you may not know them, they had fake books.
Oh, that's still there. It's 100 songs in it that everybody wants to hear.
Indeed, that's right. And they're kind of like this. But this poor guy went up the river for this because he just took the chorus and the words and he put them. So I used to go, now people have them on iPads, but I would go to the job with these two can you play, I don't know what, almost like Being in Love, and if I didn't know it, I would play it. But then, as people asked for things, I would learn them. I tried to learn a song a day. And many of the songs they asked for were Irving Berlin ballads. I still sing to this day with continuing surprise. Always, all the beautiful waltzes that he wrote, How Deep is the Ocean, in one of the 10 great songs. I have a great respect for him, and I love singing his tunes.
It's just funny that you mentioned that particular one, because the host of this radio program, Dave Lefkowitz, who is Jewish, by the way, he and his wife, the first date that they went to see an off-Broadway production of the Marx Brothers' Coconuts.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
And they sang Always, because it was in the movie. It was Berlin did the music for the movie of the Coconuts. And Always was in there, and that became their song for him and his wife. They played it at the wedding and everything.
It never fails to. I have to check that. I thought it was withdrawn from the Coconuts. But what was in the production of the...
Well, they put it in when they did it, I guess, a Jewish repertory or wherever the American Jewish Theater did it. Or something.
You know, it's one of the great stories that they were in Atlantic City at the Ritz Hotel, wherever that is. He and George S. Kaufman, the noted curmudgeon, and Berlin, they were looking for the big ballad for that musical, and he always liked to get immediate approval. So we called him up, middle of the night, woke him up, not at his best, and he said, they've written this song, I'll Be Loving You Always. He sang it over the phone, and George said, I think it's a little ambitious. How about I'll Be Loving You Thursday?
That's classic.
And Kaufman, and he was so incensed that he never had the song in the show, and he gave it to his wife or something. But I guess since it was intended for that, Grace Moore, I think, was the one who...
Well, I don't recall, but...
It is a gorgeous, gorgeous song. And, of course, the economy of Berlin's vernacular use. There isn't a wasted note or word in that song. I'm
assuming you play it in your current show, and come on and hear an Irving Berlin celebration.
I play several.
And what else? What else do you play?
I talk to the people about so many different parts of him. Waltzes before then were spirited and they moved quickly, but he was the first one, in my view, to slow that tempo down and to make it a meaningful romantic experience. I'll Be Loving You Always. I remember All Alone. What else do I do? These are the ballads that are good, but I do, because I love ragtime, I do a lot of his early ragtime songs, which were songs not necessarily in the ragtime syncopation, but they were about ragtime. The famous one that made him world famous and made him very rich was Alexander's Ragtime Band, as you know. And
where Come On and Here comes from.
It's about a ragtime band, but it wasn't in the ragtime tempo necessarily. But anyway, when was the last time, for example, that you heard, there's a lovely ragtime tune of his that I sing called The Yiddish Eskimo? Do you know that one?
No!
It's all true. Trust me.
The Yiddish Eskimo. I know you're not near the piano or anything, but can you give us a little abyssal?
Well, the word has... one of the words is, I'm one of God's frozen people. I mean, I will say no more than that.
No need. Oh, that's so good.
I have to look up the words of that there too much. It was for Fanny Bryce, the great comedian, of course.
Oh, okay. I mean,
really adorable. And he had lots of ragtime songs. He was he came from nothing. And he was concerned about business. He was very eager to make sure that his songs made money and that he was a businessman. He was a very rich man by the time he was 30 from his work. And what was around, although he came at the end of the ragtime era, everybody wanted to hear ragtime. So he did ragtime songs. There's one other Jewish one that I love.
He was doing Yiddish novelty tunes for a while.
A
bunch of them, yeah. But can I ask you, did you, since you've been in the business, you 40, 50 years singing and stuff, and he lived to be 100 million, did you ever meet him?
Never did.
Oh, okay.
Never met the man. I know you know the famous story that some of his devotees would meet and sing White Christmas every Christmas Eve outside his townhouse. Have you heard that?
Oh, of course, yeah. There was one was 97 years old, 98 every year. They come
and one time, the little old man in the blue bathrobe invited them all in for hot chocolate. One time.
Oh.
And, and he was reclusive at the end of his life. Maybe he was in pain, or maybe he was just, I have no idea.
But with all the respect, you're old enough to have met and maybe sung for or performed. Did you ever meet Richard Rodgers?
I introduced myself to him when he was staying in the auditorium after a performance of his last show. I remember Mama, I introduced myself and thanked him. I'm a huge believer in support and expressing gratitude. Is very, very important for me, and especially to these people who've enriched my lives. He's the only biggie that I knew, I lie. I knew, help me. Lerner and I knew Burton Lane.
Oh, yeah.
I love Burton Lane. He was a charming guy, and know his wife to this day. So him I knew. I met Alan J. Lerner once at a benefit, but I never really played. Oh yes, there was I never really had the honor to play for any of the greats. Their tunes. I wish I had.
And then you do have an entire album of Stephen Sondheim songs.
Yes, that's true. I lie. You're absolutely right. He has heard. Of course. What am I crazy? That album was recorded. Was from a live performance I did in England, but the very same show, which I did at the Algonquin when they had a cabaret room there, he did come.
Oh.
And I was very, very pleased, and he's God to everybody. I mean, I must say I was a bit intimidated, but he had heard me play 30 years ago just at a party, but he was very personable and chatted and came over. I mean, he summoned me to the table, and I said hello, and I met his friend, and it was a great treat. Sondheim is the genius of the place these days. He really is.
Can't we two go walking together out beyond the valley of trees? Out where there's a hillside of heather, curtsying gently in the breeze. That's what I'd like to do, see the heather, but with you. The mist of May is in the gloaming, all the clouds are holding still. So take my hand and let's go roaming through the heather on the hill. Morning dew is blinking yonder, there's lazy music in the rill, and all I want to do is wander through the heather on the hill. There may be other days as rich and red, there may be other springs as full and fair, but they won't be the same. They'll come and go. For this I know, that when the mist is in the gloaming, and all the clouds are holding still, if you're not there, I won't go roaming through the heather on the hill. The heather on the hill. the days as rich and rare. There may be other springs as full and fair, but they won't be the same. They'll come and go. For this I know, that when the mist is in the gloaming and all the clouds are holding still, if you're not there, I won't go roaming through the heather on the hill. The heather on the hill.
Now, I mentioned that you have a Sondheim CD and that you have a much older CD of you at the Algonquin, and then there's other CDs that have either gone out of print or still a little bit in print. How have you navigated the changes in the way music is disseminated from when you were starting, like the 1960s and 70s, to now?
I don't know, Saul. I have been somewhat delinquent in getting all of my songs. I mean, people nowadays listen to it either on Spotify, which is the free streaming service, or they go to iTunes and they listen to it, or they buy it. So those are the two big ways to listen. And a lot of my stuff is not up on Spotify, and it should be. I don't sell any CDs. I buy them. I mean, no one buys them. Even the Alticaucus that I don't buy them.
Well, but when you go give a concert, don't you come out at the table and do the signing thing afterwards? But
yeah, a couple of people buy them, but not many people buy them. Maybe they buy them to play in their cars. But nowadays, new cars don't even have CD slots anymore. They have things for your iPhone. So to me, the whole thing, I mean, I have participated in the golden age of recording and singing. To be honest with you, not that we're speaking about dire Cassandra-like things, I don't know how long this all will last. I really don't.
This all meaning the recording in this?
Well, people will continue to make records, and a small number of people aging rapidly will enjoy listening to them. But younger generations, I don't know whether you have children or grandchildren, but
I have about 22 and a half beautiful, well, 21 are beautiful, the other 1.5 not so much, but yes.
Are you talking about grandchildren or children?
Both. I forget. I look at them, my eyes aren't so good. They're very small. I think that grandchildren...
Do you talk to your grandchildren about music and ever? And they have no... I'm not kvetching. There's absolutely no interest. So you can't make somebody interested in what I do. Every now and then, if a grandchild is dragged by a grandparent to one of my shows, they seem to enjoy them, but music is different for them. Everybody has a musical soundtrack, but ours is not theirs.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know that you're the one I want to go through time with. If I had a box just for wishes and for dreams that had never come true, the box would be empty except for the memory of how they were answered by you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know that you're the one I want to go through time with. If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again and again I'd spend them with you.
And I'm talking with Rabbi Solomon at Dave's Gone By UNC Radio.
Now, here's the deal, though. I read somewhere that you don't dislike rock and roll. You actually listen to stuff that isn't Great American Songbook or Musical Theater Songbook. So what might be something surprising that you enjoy listening to?
In a more modern way?
Yeah.
A modern pop sound? Not much.
Oh, I thought you do listen to a little rock and roll. I'm going to take you for a Black Sabbath guy, but
I don't listen to music. The only time I play the piano is when I'm preparing for a show. I enjoy that process, but I don't, in fact, sit around and listen to music. I don't have the classical music station on in the air. I will go to hear somebody's cabaret because I believe that as a kind of a senior member of the community, I have to support them. And I enjoy many, many young artists who sing beautifully. And the cabaret world, there used to be many more standards from the songbook that you would hear in a cabaret performance from a younger cabaret artist, but not so much anymore. Even then, they're doing their own songs. They're doing modern theater songs, which kind of has an interest to me. But what can I tell you?
Well, I mean, at this point, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, James Tannen, those are standards now, quote unquote.
They are standards. I kind of checked out. How do I say this? December 31st, 1979, meaning the songs of the 70s, that singer-songwriter era that I was a young man in, and those are the things you remember. I love those, and I sing some of those. As a matter of fact, I'm preparing a show from songs from the 70s. They were beautiful ballads.
Well, like what? I'm curious what songs you would have included in that.
I have already recorded two, but I will expand upon that. I think, what do you think of this as the name of an album? Time in a Bottle.
Oh, there you go. So Jim Croce. I get it. That's it. That's actually really good.
I like the idea.
However, I will say that I have a CD of my own called Time in a Bottle of Manischewitz.
Did that sell for you?
No, not at all.
Oh, I know.
I've got 400 of them in my closet. It's just...
You know, my CDs are under my bed. I mean, I try to give them away, but sometimes I get mournful looks saying, well, you know, I really don't have a CD player anymore. I never thought I'd heard that. All right. I'm 78 years old. Here's what happened. Years ago, I used to know a marvelous guy who was I approached him. I said, Al, it's your birthday soon. He said, yes, I'm soon to be an old 78, and we had a laugh about that. So, but this particular joke does not work at all anymore. Nobody remembers what a 78 is, much as an LP or whatever. I'm not trying to be a stick in the mud. I'm just saying that you have to be flexible and go with the times. You don't have to join up with them, but you have to be aware of what's going on, especially if you're a professional musician like myself.
But the thing is, you said you stopped in 79, that you haven't really paid attention to the music of the 80s through the aughts plus.
I'm embarrassed to tell you that that is an accurate assessment.
Okay.
I don't know from the 80s. I don't know from the 90s. My nephew stays with me, who's 45, and but he's a very checked out guy. He was in a rock and roll band, and anytime I ask who this person is, if I haven't been able to find him or her on the miraculous YouTube, he says, "Oh yeah, they were big, and here was the hit." And I just, what can I tell you? I don't have much time left. I cannot examine any of that stuff now.
You sound and seem pretty healthy. Are you?
I am very healthy.
Okay.
My voice is in better shape than it ever was. My fingers work great. I just did a concert last night of, sometimes I get really a specialized project that intrigues me. There is a wonderful art gallery here in Manhattan called the Neue Gallery of Viennese art.
Mm.
And you may know there was a movie made about a famous Klimt painting called The Woman in the Gold Dress.
I think Scarlett Johansson was in that.
Effective paintings ever made. Anyway, they have a beautiful little cabaret there, and they feature people singing German and Austrian songs. And so I put up a program of the Jewish emigres in 1933 who left after forced to leave Berlin and Austria, and Friedrich Hollander, who wrote for Marlene Dietrich, Kurt Weill, of course, the most famous of all, and another one named Spoliansky, who went to London. And I love singing in other languages. I sing in Portuguese, I sing in French, I sing in German. I've always been fascinated by linguistics and all of that thing. So sometimes a specialized idea will come along that really catches my fancy. Now, what if somebody would say, look, I'm going to pay you, $1 million to learn a program of hits from the 80s?
Yes, I'd
learn it, but I don't know where I'd begin. I'd have to hire a cadre of 10-year-olds, I suppose.
But I'll bet you would find 12 to 14 or 15, 20 songs that you could connect with, and that would not necessarily be old style like Porter and Coward and Lesser and Lerner and Lowe, but would still, you'd be like, oh, I can turn that into a cabaret kind of song.
But I did with Time in a Bottle. I changed the feeling of it. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize that Dave only had one of my albums, so I'm going to send him, and maybe he can share some with you. I'm going to send him a bunch of my CDs, and on it you will hear this. Yeah, and I did a new version of, for example, Eleanor Rigby, that I thought was very powerful. Because the Beatles had words and tunes. They had tunes, man. That's what I need. I need tunes. I don't need things that repeat or that are riffs. But listen, Katy Perry, who is a pop star, one of the biggest, almost filled Madison Square Garden the other day, so what do I know?
Well, I mean, but also, as you said, you have to grow and evolve. There's a well-known guitarist, songwriter named Richard Thompson. I don't know if you've ever heard.
I don't know of him, no.
No. I mean, he's a brilliant, from the 70s literally, or on, till now. Still a brilliant composer, songwriter, etc. But he did this CD of 1,000 Years of American Popular Music. And he did them all in his style. And it was everything from madrigals, the medieval era.
Did a CD with selections from all of these years?
Well, and he did one CD, and he would do a song, as I said, like a 1,000-year-old madrigal, and then there'd be a Britney Spears song. And it was, if it was a good song, if it was a nice tune, it didn't matter when it was from or who wrote it, or if it was kitschy, or if it was, people would look down on it because it wasn't written by, Hart or something like that. It's a thing. You should investigate Tom Waits. So you could probably do some good Tom Waits numbers.
But he was from the 70s, though, wasn't he?
Well, he still is. I mean, he started.
Yeah. Now, I'm very keen about to write that. So this chap's name is Richard Thompson?
Yeah, I don't know if it would be to your taste, but Richard Thompson is a brilliant. Yeah. Check him out, Richard.
I could find him on YouTube. Maybe I could find his CD. I'm very interested in that.
Oh, good.
He's done a lot of work that I've been too lazy to do. You mean he has picked the best of so many genres, and I really respect that. So I'm going to dig him out.
Oh, excellent! I'm so glad I clued you in with that. Oh boy, I've actually helped Steve Ross widen his music appreciation, just as he's done to me over these years with what he's done with people like Rodgers and Hammerstein and Cole Porter, and you have worked with or played for and with some legendary nightclub artists.
I have indeed. I've been very, very lucky that when I came along, that many of these great ladies and gents were still around and performing, and I accompanied them, and I learned from them. I began learning from the grand dame of all of us, Mabel Mercer, of whom you know.
Right.
Or do you? Do you know?
Well, she was a little before my time, but of course I've heard of her.
She was the great cabaret singer, and just told the stories and enchanted everybody. And the reason I moved to New York was somebody threw a record of Bobby Short.
Yes.
This was the acme of sophistication and style.
And of course you ended up playing at the Algonquin.
I played at the Algonquin, and I went to hear all of these people who were around when I got here in the 70s. And the relics from the 60s had changed everything. But some of the great people were still playing, and I played in a theatrical piano bar called Backstage, and many of them came along and sang, so I got a chance to play for Liza, Cheetah, Rivera, Rita Moreno, and they would just get up and sing.
Do you have any anecdotes? Do you have any memories of them or Barbara Cook or Julie Wilson? Some funny thing that happened or something they taught you? Something poignant?
Well, I wish I had a raft of those memories because it would make this interview interesting. But I will say this, of the late lamented, and boy, what a fantastic communicating singer Barbara Cook was. A unique talent, a gorgeous voice. I did a summer tour with her in 1974, and she was just coming out of a dark period in her life. But I'd always loved her voice. I knew her from Music Man, and it was thrilling just to go to these little theaters. And she was in the cast. Harold Lang was in the cast. Julie Wilson, Nancy Dussault. At any rate, I just remember that Barbara, when she was I remember in a car when she was demonstrating a song. She said, "Steve, you remember that song that goes, 'Embrace me'?" Even when she was demonstrating a song, it meant so much to her that she had to perform the song. Whereas I might just say, "Oh, I know that song, 'Embrace me, you freedom.'" What I'm trying to say is that songs were so important for her that she couldn't even slight them when she was quoting them in conversation. And I said, boy, this is something very important, that music is to her essence born. And I'll never forget that.
That is actually lovely. That's that's how I say prayers. I can't just say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. I got to do it. I got to do it all the way full.
Well, it's an analogous story that she's always sang, even not loud, but she always sang. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I'm just saying I was impressed that was how she.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just relating it to me because God hasn't done anything for me, no matter how I sing the prayers. But I'm hoping. I hope to sing loud enough that he hears at some point. It'd be nice.
So listen, he brought us together. I think that's a nice mitzvah.
Thank you. You use the lingo, baby. There's got to be some Jew in you.
I'm a New Yorker. I'm Jewish. Come on.
There you go. Hey, is it true that sometimes at the piano when you're performing, you wear Noel Coward's actual jacket?
Yes, of course it is. Yeah, I wear it.
How'd you get Noel Coward's jacket?
It was given to me by the Noel Coward Society. One of the gentlemen had acquired it, and it was tailor-made for Coward, and I wear it, and I'm very honored to wear it. I must say, it's a beautiful coat. Yeah, I like it.
Do you have any of his underwear, or just the jacket?
I don't have any of his personal effects, no. I don't. No, I have, what do I have? No, I don't have anything else by anybody that's famous except Noel Coward's jacket, in fact.
I mean, if you had like one of his spare socks, I could use it.
No, that would be interesting that I could wear and never change. But no, I don't actually. No handkerchiefs, no socks, no.
But here's the deal. It's Noel Coward's jacket, right? So you didn't have to, it kind of fits you. You have the same build. You didn't have to take it in or do anything, right?
Yeah, no, it just fit. I just stepped into this coat, and it fits me perfectly, and I perform in it, and it's a kind of it's a handsome coat. At any rate,
but do you launder it, or are you? No, I would never.
Sometimes I have a dry clean.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Durable, bespoke item from London. But at the end of my show, I stand up and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, you may have been admiring my beautiful green velvet coat." And I describe how I received it. And then I say, at the end of the show, I said, "Oh, yes, economically," I said, "if you wish to embrace me at the conclusion of my performance, and that is encouraged, think of it, you get two for the price of one." And I get a laugh, and I often get a kiss.
Oh, well, there you go. Very nice.
Very nice.
Speaking of kissing, and not to get too personal, but your private life, are you in a relationship, marriage thing ever? What?
No, I've traveled the way single-o. Never thought that it would be, it's hard. Ellington's famous autobiography, "Music is My Mistress." Me, music, it takes up a lot of time, and I'm much more of a person who looks at all of my wonderful, wonderful friends around the world as my aggregate lover. And it's wonderful because I'm never bored. There's another person. I've never been one that has had any success in being one of two people. I'm one of a lot of people.
Is it because you are so devoted to music, or you're just a pain in the ass to be?
Patient. Maybe I'm high maintenance. I travel a lot. I take everything too there are parts of my character that are not built for the flexibility that's required to have a long-term relationship. That's all. Simple as that. It's not going to be happening now.
What do you mean not? People in the 70s, go to nursing homes. Everybody's hooking up.
Well, I suppose I play for those people at nursing homes. That's one of the things that I do. I have, maybe my songs encourage a little spark of love. I have no idea. I'm not so aware of that so much. But I know that that's not me. I have a wonderful mistletoe here. I have my wonderful nephew. I have a roommate who is a dancer, and we have our own family. We rarely see each other outside of the house.
Best kind of family, yes.
We're loving, and we're always there for each other, and I feel very confident in that, and I'm very blessed.
By the way, Steve Ross, since you started as a piano player before you really were told that you ought to sing, good singing, you had to sing and stuff, but in that period, or even now, all these songs that you sing by other people, did you ever try your hand at writing your own?
I have. On one of the albums that I'm sending to Dave, which he will share with you, I did write a song I'm quite proud of. I remember I was in a pianist in a show that Sammy Kahn wrote once with Julie Stein years ago, and he's a brilliant songwriter, of course, and I talked about this idea of songwriting because I had written this melody. And he said, "Well, I'm a word guy. I wake up." He was always writing songs in his head. Julie Stein. These composers and lyricists who do this, their minds are whirling around in those fields. I don't wake up wanting to write a song. Every now and then a lyric is presented to me, or I work with somebody. So I have about 5 songs that I've written that I think are nice, but the world doesn't need another mediocre ballad, so I have to make it special. But one of the songs that I will be sending to Dave is from an album I did called My Manhattan. A lot of songs about New York, of which there are hundreds, and a friend of mine wrote a song called Manhattan Moon that I think is very sweet. So you'll hear that, but I really should do another. I was going to say I should do another recording, all of my own songs, but what does that mean, a recording? I don't know. It's not going to be issued on CD. It'll be a digital recording, but maybe that's what it has to be.
That's the way it is now. If it's the way it is, and the nice thing is, if you have 6 songs and you don't want to add any more, look, you call it an EP or something. You don't have to fill a CD with 60 or 70 minutes. It's whatever you want now.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me for that. It can be, you're right, it can be a mini thing, and yeah, I could do that. Because why not? And I have a couple of ideas for another album. I've accompanied a lot of wonderful people, and I have recordings with Steve Ross. Everybody in the world did a duet album, right? I mean,
oh, there you go. That's right. You could.
I could put that in something like that.
Find a good ocarina player. You never know. It could be a
great good ocarina player.
Yeah.
I could call it, but you won't get this because it's a pre-Vatican Council Catholic reference. I could call it Alone and with Others. When you were a little child and you went to confession, you are familiar with that process.
Kind of, yes.
Confess our little sins to the priest, and it was made worse if you did whatever this little thing you did when you involved other people. So the question that was posed to the great was, now, was this alone or with others? So I think alone and with others, and maybe the 3 Roman Catholics that I know will get it a laugh, but other than that, it's going to be my songs and my duets. 3 Roman Catholics and
Harvey Weinstein would get it pretty much.
Harvey Weinstein might get it, yes.
He just might.
That's true. Unfortunately, isn't that a blot upon the world? Anyway.
Well, yeah, that with others for sure. By the way, we are with the wonderful, delightful Steve Ross, whom you can see on October 23rd doing Come On and Here. By the way, October 23rd, it's this Monday. I might as well tell you that. Is it an 8 o'clock show, 7:30? Do you know what time it starts?
7 o'clock show.
Oh, nice and early.
A joint that's usually for jazz, but on Monday they devoted to Broadway and cabaret performers.
Oh, so do you stick around Monday nights for, oh my gosh, was it Jim Caruso's cast party?
Yeah, you know about that. Oh yeah, that's been going for so many years. It's a mixed bag. I mean, sometimes you get great people along, and sometimes you don't. But I often I have performed there. Yeah.
Because it's Monday night, so I figure after your show, on comes Jim Caruso, and then he does his thing. So.
Yes, he does, and he's a wonderful, charming performer, and has one of the best pianists in town as his partner, Billy Stritch. So there's when I think about the music that is available, the music that I love. Tomorrow night, I'm taking a date to hear 2 of the finest pianists who are alive. Joint show. One of them is Bill Charlap.
Okay. Related to Moose?
Was his mentor. Christ, what's his name? Oh my God, I'm just blocking. It's terrible.
I've heard of a Moose Charlap.
No, that's his son.
Oh, okay.
Moose Charlap was a songwriter who, a Broadway composer, who was married to a still divine singer named Sandy Stewart.
Okay.
They produced this fantastic son, Bill. But there was a program at the 92nd Street YMHA called Jazz in July, which was started many, many years ago by one of the great pianists alive named Dick Hyman.
Oh, okay, yes.
And
Boy, did he take some crap growing up with that name. But anyway, yes.
So I performed often at the Y, 92nd Street Y, and they have so many, well, it being, of course, a Jewish educational trust.
Of course.
Concerts, and they have everything you can go to, and it's a great resource for me.
Well, you have been a delightful and a marvelous resource for us, both on this program and your style, your elegance, your music, and now, I didn't even know about your humor, and so what a wonderful laugh you have. I wish I could make you laugh again, just We did it, wonderful.
I know, but you're so wonderful. I'm sorry you don't live nearby. We could just schmooze and go out for coffee every minute, but you live out there, and I live here, so.
I know, it would be a delight to schmooze with Stephen Ben Clifford here in his neck of the Daverhood. So, Steve, all I can wish you is, thank God, continued good health. Actually, one more question. Because so much of what you do, or to get paid to do, is in foreign countries, does the travel ever wear on you? Because you have to go here. I mean, it's one thing to drive somewhere or take a subway. Quite another, I'm in Germany again. Now I'm in England.
No, it doesn't seem to bother me. I'm lucky to get a job in England just about every year. I used to work in Brazil. I worked in Australia. I did a tour there a couple of years. Somehow, I don't know, I'm a vegetarian. It doesn't seem to bother me too much as long as I can take naps and have a few chemicals or something. It's fine. It doesn't seem to bother me too much. I'm lucky about that. And I've been going, well, not going this year, but I've been going to Sri Lanka here. That's a for a piece. But anyway, so the answer to your question is I'm lucky. It doesn't seem to bother me, and not having, commitments here, no pets, no wives, no boyfriends, whatever. I can close the door and take my suitcase and go and do my stuff, which is great.
Well, it certainly is great, and it's been great having Steve Ross with us in the Daverhood. Steve, health, music, luck to you, and joy.
And the same to you, my friend.
Shalom.
Shalom. Bye-bye.
Yes, we've traveled far and wide together. Did we travel too fast? Now I reminisce and wonder whether any good things ever last. But that, my dear, is past. So thanks for the memory of candlelight and wine, castles on the Rhine, the Parthenon, and moments on the Hudson River line. How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of rainy afternoons, swingy Harlem tunes, motor trips and burning lips and burning toast and food. How lovely it was. Many's the time that we feasted, many's the time that we fasted. How well it was swell while it lasted. We did have fun and no harm done. So thanks for the memory of sunburn at the shore, nights in Singapore. You may have been a headache, but you never were a bore. Thank you so much. Thanks for the memory. Transatlantic calls, China's funny walls, that weekend at Niagara when we scarcely saw the falls. How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of lunch from 12 to 4. Now who could ask for more? That pair of blue pajamas that you bought but never wore. How lovely you were. We said goodbye with a highball, and I got as high as a steeple. But we were intelligent people. No tears, no fuss. Hooray for us. And thanks for the memory. And strictly ingenue. Darling, how are you? And how are all those little dreams that never did come true? Awfully glad I met you. Cheerio and toodaloo, and thank you so much.
It's time for Bob Dylan, Sooner and Later, songs from all different times and phases of Bob Dylan's career. Everybody must get bobbed. Yes, indeed. Everybody must get bobbed here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of The Air. Dave Lefkowitz here. We're doing our 625th episode of the show. We've called it Rossed and Found in honor of our fine guest, Steve Ross. By all means, please go see him on October 23rd. Let me make sure it is the 23rd. Yeah, October 23rd at Birdland, an Irving Berlin celebration. And you can go to steveross.net, steveross.net for more information. And certainly, Bob Dylan would understand and appreciate the music that Steve Ross is keeping alive, because Dylan is keeping it alive too. In his last couple of albums, even though he has a voice of death at this point, he's trying to dip into the Great American Songbook, the Rodgers and Harts, the Cole Porters, the Hoagie Carmichaels, and bring those, well, certainly not to a new generation, because not much of the new generation is listening to him, but it's an acknowledgement, it's a realization that Dylan has always had, that music didn't start with 1963, and it didn't even start with Woody Guthrie, but that there's a continuing evolution of both the folk and the popular song. And I'm talking about this because Dylan got a great review for his stage show just this past week. He was playing in Salt Lake City at a place called the Eccles Theater. I believe that's what the pronunciation is. It might be eccles. And then the critic for the Salt Lake Tribune, Rick Kane, he just raved about Dylan's set there. By the way, I'm wearing my Halloween poops. Since I won't be doing a show next week, I'll be in New York. I wanted to share a little bit of Halloween magic with you with these lovely little poops on my head. I hope they're not distracting. I will keep them here, and if I need them, I will wear them again. But anyway, on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, Dylan played at the Eccles Theater, and Rick Kane wrote for the Salt Lake Tribune, quote, "Since embarking on his never-ending tour in 1988, Bob Dylan's shows haven't incited much passion. Much as with Van Morrison these days, you never know what you'll get. I've seen Dylan on nights when it looked as if he wanted to be anywhere else but on stage. Rare have been the wonderful nights like Tuesday at the Eccles Theater in downtown SLC. He was engaged and energetic, even coming back for 2 encores and giving thank you nods to the audience and ... smiling. Yeah, Dylan, smiling. He gripped his mic stand at an angle, kind of like Steven Tyler. No high leg kicks, please, Bob, you're 76. And he bent his knees as if he were waiting for a football at home plate. I should print these in bigger font. As if waiting for a fastball at home plate. Anyway, after finishing a number, he would pause with his hand on his hip, as if asking the crowd to acknowledge his total badassery. Dylan has never been in finer voice, and his Charlie Sexton-led backing band is stellar. Okay, I was with Rick Kane through all of this until he says Dylan has never been in finer voice. No. Even objectively, no. But I'm thrilled. I had a wonderful time that Dylan was on, that he really worked the crowd. We went to see him about a year and a half ago at Red Rocks, and he was actually pretty on there too. It's just I was so far away that it was kind of hard to tell. But I assume this critic had a pretty good seat to see Dylan in all his late era glory, and I think that's terrific. And Kane notes that Dylan's set list for his performance this week in Salt Lake City included such numbers as "This Nearly Was Mine," which is certainly a song that Steve Ross, if he hasn't done it already, Steve Ross should do that song. "The September of My Years," "Autumn Leaves," but he also mixed in a few songs that we hope to hear from Bob Dylan because they're his own. So let's play a couple of different songs from Dylan's albums, but songs that he sang this past week in his Salt Lake City concerts at the Eccles Theater. So let us begin with Dylan's last album of new original material to date. That's going back all the way, amazingly enough, to 2012 with the Tempest record. So let's hear a song that has a title and a feel and a structure that makes it sound like a classic American song from Tin Pan Alley. It's not. It's a Bob Dylan song sung by Bob Dylan soon after midnight.
I'm searching for phrases to sing your praises. I need to tell someone. It's soon after midnight, and my day has just begun. A gal named Harvey took my money. She was passing by. It's soon after midnight, and the moon is in my eye. My heart is cheerful, it's never fearful. I've been down on the killing floors. I'm in no great hurry, I'm not afraid of your fury. I faced stronger walls than yours. Charlotte's a harlot, dresses in scarlet. Mary dresses in green. It's soon after midnight, and I've got a date for the fairy queen. They chirp and they chatter, what does it matter? They're alive, they're dying, and never learn. Two-time and slim, who's ever heard of him? I'll drag his corpse through the mud. It's now or never, more than ever. When I met you, I didn't think you'd do. It's soon after midnight, and I don't want nobody but you.
Playing some Bob Dylan on Dave's Gone By.
Away from my window, leave at your own chosen feet. I'm not the one you want, babe. I'm not the one you need. You say you're looking for someone, they're weak but always strong. Come protect you, come defend you, whether you're right or wrong. Someone to open every door, but it ain't me, baby. No, 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 it ain't me, baby. It ain't me you're looking for. Oh, lightly from the ledge, baby. Go lightly across the ground. I'm not the one you want, babe. I'll only let you down. You say you're looking for someone who promised never to part. Oh, one who closes his eyes for into the night, babe. Oh, everything inside of me is made of stone. There's nothing in here moving, and anyway, I'm not alone. You say you're looking for someone to pick you up every time you fall. Again, if I was for you constantly, to come every time you call. They love it for your life, but nothing more. But it ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for. It ain't me you're looking for. Melancholy mood forever haunts me, steals upon me in the night, forever taunts me. Ah, what a lonely soul of mine, stranded high and dry, by a melancholy mood. Gone is every joy and inspiration, tears are all I have to show, no consolation, all I see is deep and gloom, till the crack of doom, oh melancholy mood. Deep in the night, I search for a trace of a lingering kiss, a warm embrace, but love is a whimsy and flimsy as lace, and my arms embrace an empty space, melancholy mood. Why must you blind me? Pity me and break the chains that bind me. Won't you release me, set me free, bring her back to me, ah, melancholy mood.
Late era Bob Dylan here on Dave's Gone By, doing Melancholy Moon, and capping off our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. And I just put my papers away that I needed. That was dumb. Hold on, I'm getting them. Dave Lefkowitz here with the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air. It's about 11:42 in the morning Mountain Time, which would put it at 1:42 Eastern Time for all our New York listeners. We have so many today, which is way cool. Of course, I'll reiterate that we are doing this show, not only streaming it, and not only are we taping the audio just like our regular radio show. It is our regular radio show, but in order to have the stream working and for people to be able to listen to us and visit us, we thought, hey, let's put this on Facebook. so people can, they can go around doing what they want to do, treat it as a radio show, or if you physically like looking at this face, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, I'm here, and this part is streaming too. Either way, we're happy to have you, and we're here every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time on UNC Radio, the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. And I do have to give a shout out to our long time sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, that is. Hewlett Minuteman has been around since the mid-1970s. That franchise, owned by the Torong family, they do fine quality work, reasonable prices, pretty quick turnaround times. I've been using them since long before I had this radio show, and they have been sponsoring or helping sponsor this show since our very first episode back in 2002. So if you need one-sided sheet of paper, black and white, make a copy, fine. If you need laminates, if you need booklets, and if you need whole stacks of papers copy, colored on special paper, on long paper, if you need your company logo on a flyer or a balloon, or on an article of clothing, some sports item, Hewlett Minuteman Press can do that for you. They're also known for their holiday cards. Certainly time to start thinking about those, as well as wedding invitations. And they're right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. They're right across the street from the giant new Petco, right? And they're 2.5 blocks from the LIRR. Tell them Dave sent you, and you get 10% off any job, big or small, at Hewlett Minuteman. So give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577. They'll open again on Monday at 8:30. They're 8:30 to 5 days a week, and then early in the morning on Saturdays too during the fall and winter. The Hewlett Minuteman Press, they are the copy kings. And I feel like king of the world when I do this radio program. Dave's gone by. It is our 625th episode of the show. We call it Rossed and Found for our good new friend, Steve Ross. Love playing his music, love doing some of the other segments that we do on this program. If you missed the first hour, you missed our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment, you missed our Inside Broadway segment after that. Remember, you can always go back and listen in the archives. davesgoneby.com is the place to find them. davesgoneby.com, and you can drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com. So I do want to hear from you, and most of all, of course, if you're watching now, you're already seeing me on Facebook, but by all means, message me on Facebook. I love the feedback. So many years here. I knew people were listening, and I get the occasional email or something in the mail or a phone call, but really you never know as a radio person. You do feel kind of alone in the universe unless you're doing specifically a phone call-in chat show, which I don't do. But it's so great to see the names of the folks who've been on this program are tuning in, folks I've never met, folks whose names I know, or people that I do know personally, and this whole mix of all these folks. I'm like, oh, I'm not alone out there. People are checking out this show, maybe not listening at one time to all 3 or 3.5 hours, but I think it's really great, and I welcome you, especially if you're new to the Daverhood. However, I will now warn everyone that this is the make or break time. This is the line that I cross for my sense of humor, because I have a really, really sick mind, and I'm proud of that. And so I do a segment every once in a blue moon called My Sick Mind, where I make jokes that I do the heavy lifting that other people don't want to do. I make the sick, terrible, tasteless, evil jokes about whatever the issue is that, even the late night hosts would be like, ooh, not going to go there. So bear with me. This will take a minute or two, but I have to do it. It's part of my constitution. I made some jokes, honestly, about Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I'm not proud of that, and yet somehow deep inside I am. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this week's My Sick Mind about Harvey Weinstein.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
Well, talk about bad taste.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
You sick little monkey.
So please remember, folks, these are just jokes. That's all they are. They're just jokes. Because, what's his name? James Corden got into a little bit of, not trouble, but he was castigated for making jokes about Harvey Weinstein at some award ceremony because the jokes either weren't funny enough or they weren't politically correct enough. I mean, if you're a comedian, political correctness generally goes out the window, and it should. So please keep that in mind as I share my jokes about that disgusting fellow, Harvey Weinstein. And I do have a brand new kind of sound machine to accompany these these jokes. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. What is the difference between Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein? About 4 inches. I didn't say they were good jokes, I just said they were sick jokes. Okay, here we go. What is the difference between Hamlet and Harvey Weinstein? Hamlet says, "Aye, there's the rub." Harvey Weinstein says, "I rub there." Yeah, okay. What does Harvey Weinstein call young actresses? Coming attractions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. When Harvey Weinstein met Lupita Nyong'o, did he suffer a heart attack? No, he had a stroke. Okay. There you go. What is Harvey Weinstein's favorite song? Pants on the ground. Pants on the ground. Let's probably use this thing. It's not helping, is it? Okay. How does an actress find Harvey Weinstein on a weather map? Well, look for the passing shower. And we're almost done here. What is the difference between Harvey Weinstein and Republicans? Well, Republicans screw everybody. Oh, yeah. There we go now. And that, my friends, is my sick mind. And suddenly everybody signed off on Facebook, and nobody's watching it. No, not true. So anyway, we still have some more to do on this radio program today, because we go a little past noon here. Sometimes we'll even go 4 or 4.5 hours. We're not going to go that long today, but don't worry. You're looking at the clock. You're like, oh my God, it's 11:50, and he hasn't even done his Saturday segue yet. We will, I promise. But let's talk first about the friends of the Daverhood. So, okay, what do we mean by the friends of the Daverhood? I just mentioned before that Steve Ross is now an official friend of Dave's Gone By, because he was on our show today and he was interviewed by the great Rabbi Saul Solomon. It was thrilling to have him. So we consider the folks who've been on this program in years and months past to be our official friends of the Daverhood. And we like to keep tabs on them, because we know when they were on our show, they were appearing in some club, they're on Broadway, they've written a book, they've done a new album, and then a couple of years later, they're doing other things. So we like to let you know, hey, this is what our friends are up to. For example, Gabriel Barry, the director, he will stage the national tour of Soul Doctor. That show is never going away. You know, they brought it all around the country. They tried it off Broadway. They brought it to Broadway, ran for a few weeks, but was not quite a success. And yet they are going to have a national tour. And Rabbi Saul Solomon is thrilled, because this is the musical about Reb Shlomo Carlebach, a great singer, someone who unfortunately also behaved in the Harvey Weinstein mold with women. But I don't think the musical deals with that. But they're going to bring the show to America, to Israel, England, and South Africa, and Gabriel Barry will be directing. So yay for our friend Gabriel. Also, Linda Lavin, we mentioned her before. our friend Linda Lavin. She is co-starring with Elliot Gould in a brand new CBS sitcom called 9JKL. Could they have picked a worse title for that? 9JKL, CBS sitcom. I guess it takes place in some kind of apartment somewhere. But go see her. Maybe it's pretty funny. And want to let you know that Jane Siberry has worked out her technical issues. So for the past couple of weeks, this fine singer, songwriter, musician is doing a Thursday night talk show. It starts at 8 o'clock Eastern on Thursday evenings, and it's a Jane Siberry talk show. She does some music, she does talky stuff and advice, and I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm never home to see it, but you can see it on her Facebook page, Jane Siberry, Siberry. Want to let you know, our good friend Austin Pendleton today is directing something called 3 Sharon Tate plays at the Magnolia Community Center in Long Beach. I believe that is Long Beach, Long Island, but it could be Long Beach, California. I am not sure. Just look that up. It's not actual 3 plays that Sharon Tate wrote, but 3 plays apparently about Sharon Tate from back in the day of the Manson era. Austin Pendleton directing. Robert Cuccioli, and that is today, by the way. You just have one shot to see it. And then ending today, Robert Cuccioli is in the cast of a cabaret show called Anything Can Happen in the Theater, which is a tribute to Maury Yeston that is happening at the Triad. And we have a double here because it's conceived and directed by our friend Gerard Alessandrini. And then tomorrow, I wish I could see him, Loudon Wainwright is at Boulder's E-Town Hall. That is happening tomorrow night, Sunday. And then moving on to this coming week, Rebecca Luker on Monday. She will be in the cast of a reading, it might be a staged reading, of Captain Brassbound's Confession at Project Shaw. That's taking place up at Symphony Space in the Leonard Nimoy Talia Theater. So, Project Shaw does a different George Bernard Shaw play every month, I think in a staged reading thing. And sometimes I get some pretty famous people on the cast. So Rebecca Luker will be in this one on Monday. Also on Monday, mazel tov to our friend David Yazbek, who will get the Frederick Lowe Award from the Dramatists Guild for his show that is just starting previews called The Band's Visit, and that'll be opening on Broadway in November. Then we move to Wednesday when the cast recording of Blue-Eyed Angels is going to be released, and it will feature Robert Cuccioli again, also with Laura Osnes in there. For more information, go to SerahAngels.com, SerAngels, SerahAngels.com. On Thursday, our musical friend Gary Lucas will accompany a showing of the silent film The Golem at Brooklyn's Alamo Drafthouse Cinema on Albee Square. That's at 7 o'clock at night this Thursday. Or maybe you'll want to spend Thursday night at the York Theater, which is run by our friend Jim Morgan. He's the artistic director and set designer. They've created a new musical there called Move It, and it's, the York Theater, I'm a little confused here because the York is doing 2 readings of 2 different new musicals. There's one that's called Move It and It's Yours, and that features our great friend of the Daverhood, Jason Gra. And then on same day, so all different kinds of music that are being appealed to here. If you like Captain Beefheart or guitar instrumental, you'll go see Gary Lucas. If you like, what was the other one there? If you want to hear theater kind of music, Move It and It's Yours, Jason Gra is in a cabaret sort of thing. And then also Thursday, Jill Sabule will be playing at Club Cumming, named after the founder of it, Alan Cumming, the actor. It's a kind of a weird place. I was checking on the internet what Club Cumming was actually like, and they have certain parties there that I wouldn't go unless I was covered with rubber. But, and a lot of people there probably would be covered in how Buell is going to get an intimate evening at this at 505 East 6th Street in Manhattan, starting at 9 o'clock this Thursday. And then this coming Friday, I mentioned another show that the York Theater is doing. They're doing something called In the Name of Love, and it's all these songs and vignettes about love. including material by our friend Sheldon Harnick. Yes, this guy who co-wrote Fiddler on the Roof is still doing stuff and still with us. And also David Spencer, too. Letting you know that starting Friday and then running through the middle of July, DC's Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. is doing a revival of The Pajama Game, and it features the one and only Donna McKechnie from the original A Chorus Line. She's a friend of the Daverhood. Who else? We also have on this next Saturday, since I won't be around, just letting you know that Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary is going to be at the Kupferberg Center in Queens. And also a week from today, Mark Agranoff will be opening for Steve Chapin at the Boonton Church in Boonton, New Jersey. It's a benefit for Hurricane Sandy relief. Is there more? Yes, there's more. Because the more friends of the neighborhood we have, the longer the segment goes. But I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that so many people who've been on this show are doing such cool things. Ralph Lewis is directing Trav SD in Androboros at Francis Tavern Museum. That's going on through the end of October. Also through the end of October, Clay McLeod Chapman, Death to the Pumpkin Pie Show is happening at Under St. Mark's. Want to let you know that Tonya Pinkins, that fine actress, is in a show called Time Alone at the Bell Rev Theater Company in Los Angeles. That is through the end of the month. And then what else? Now through middle of November, if you happen to be in Washington, D.C., you can see two shows at Arena Stage and find some of our friends. So you got Donna McKechnie in The Pajama Game, and you've got Hal Linden playing the old curmudgeonly cute Jewish man in The Price. So if you want to see Hal Linden, get thee down to the Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. And off Broadway at the Signature Theater, our friend Ruben Santiago Hudson is directing Jesus Hopped the A Train. That is happening through the middle of November. And Galinsky is starring in The Bench. It's a one-man show about the homeless, directed by our other friend, J.O. Sanders. That is happening at the Cherry Lane Theater through mid-December. And then I'll just run down very quickly all these amazing people involved in Broadway shows. Aladdin on Broadway has music by our friend Alan Menken. We mentioned The Band's Visit, which is co-written by David Yazbek. That's at the Barrymore Theater. A Bronx Tale is co-written by Chaz Palminteri, Alan Menken, and Glenn Slater, all of them friends of the Daverhood. Come From Away at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater with a book and score by Irene Sankoff and David Hine, who were both on our Tony show this year. Hamilton features David Breaker playing, Daniel Breaker playing Aaron Burr. That's at the Rogers Theater. And finally, School of Rock has lyrics by our pal Glenn Slater. And those, my friends, woohoo, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, indeed. By the way, the music sounds a lot better when we archive these shows. I mean, you're just getting it on a laptop mic, which is why it might sound tinny or muffled. And plus, when I hit a certain button, the music cuts off instantly instead of fading out. It sounds a lot better when you listen to this thing as an actual radio show rather than live streaming me, camera. Although obviously the camera does add some perks. Anyway, it's 12:01 in the afternoon, Mountain Time, here at UNC, the University of Northern Colorado, where we do the Dave's Gone By radio program every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts. For more information, go to our website, davesgoneby.com. This is our 625th edition of the show. We've done so much, right? We've done our Inside Broadway segment. We did our My Sick Mind. We did some Bob Dylan songs. And, of course, we had Rabbi Saul Solomon talking with the great Steve Ross. Remember to go see Steve Ross at, is it Birdland? I believe it is on October 23rd. We've done so much, and yet we've got one more thing to do. So we are staying a little bit late. We got some more music to play. This is a segment called A Saturday Segue, where we play songs that have something to do with the news of the world. So you have to figure out, Dave picked this song to play. Why? Is it something in the title? Is it the person who does it? Is it the theme of the song, a word mentioned in the song? So you get to hear the music, hopefully enjoy the music, but also go, aha, I know why Dave's playing that, because some word in that title has to do with this big thing that happened in the news this week. Okay? Got it? Great. Let's start with a John Cale tune from many years ago. I won't say the title because that'll kind of may give it away. But let's hear some Cale on our Saturday Segue.
I believe you, Mr. Wilson. I believe you anyway. And I'm always thinking of you when I hear your music play. And you know it's true. Like crazy love, like all I need anyway. When I listen to your music, you'll still miles away. Check your music, watch your mixture, add some music to update. Don't believe the things they tell you, don't let them get in your way. And you know it's true. It's not like anyway. And when I hear your music, you're still thousands of miles away.
Like I love Take my hand and push it aside. Come inside, and your favorite clouds around your ears at the mysterious spot. That's music to my favorite paradise.
Michelle, my belle, these are words that go together well. My Michelle, Michelle, my belle, sont des mots qui vont très bien ensemble, très bien ensemble. I love you, I love you, I love you. That's all I want to say. Until I find a way, I will say the only words I know that you understand. Michelle, ma belle, sont des mots qui vont très bien ensemble, très bien ensemble. I need to, I need to, I need to make you see oh, what you mean to me. Until I do, I'm hoping you will know what I mean. I love you. I want you, I want you, I want you. I think you know by now. I'll get to you somehow. Until I do, I'm telling you so you'll understand. Michelle, ma belle, sont des mots qui vont très bien ensemble, très bien ensemble. And I will say the only words I know that you'll understand, my Michelle.
Oh, here's a little friend of mine called Tommy Tax, who pays our forest rangers who sleep in lonely shacks. Who, you and little Tommy Tax, who pays our lighthouse keepers who never can relax. Who, you and little Tommy Tax, poor Tommy Tax, his bills are oh so many, so everyone should pay a tax, for he needs every penny. And who pays all our teachers for teaching us these facts? Who, you and little Tommy Tax.
Our Saturday segue of songs in the news. One more.
Well, I had a dream, and in it, I was teaching cave people how to use blenders and toasters. Well, I drive up to the cave in my car. In my car. And there they are. bar, banging their heads against the walls of the cave. And I say, hey folks, listen, you're doing it the hard way. Let me show you a thing or two. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I was trying to think of something to tell you about myself and my work. And I came across this brochure that they're handing out in the lobby. And it says everything I wanted to say, only better. It says Maury Anderson in her epic performance of United States Parts 1 through 4 has been baffling audiences for years. With her special blend of music, slides, films, lights, tapes, films, did I already say films? Hand gestures, and more. What and more. Well, let's take a look around the stage at what we like to call the system, i.e. the highly sophisticated, state-of-the-art gadgetry which I cast my spell. Now let me tell you something. This stuff does not grow on trees. Well, I was out in L.A. recently on music business, and I was just sitting there in the office, filling them in on some of my goals. And I said, listen, I've got a vision. I see myself as part of a long tradition of American humor. Bugs Bunny, Yosemite Sam, and they said, well, actually, we had something a little more adult in mind. I'm gonna get up.
Some Laurie Anderson from back in the day, from her United States Live collection. Remember when she really used to do music and it wasn't just sort of, poetry and tone poems and stuff, but when she really balanced like avant-garde rock and roll with comedy and weird stuff? I mean, that stuff back then remains exciting and interesting. But why would we play Laurie Anderson as part of our Saturday segue of songs in the news? Well, we did because the name of that piece, and this one was a toughie. I mean, if you didn't know the song, if you didn't know really a lot about Laurie Anderson, you wouldn't know that song is called Yankee C. It's from her 1984 United States Live collection, Yankee C. And why? Because we're going to see whether the New York Yankees today can make it into the World Series. They lost last night bad. So this is do or die tonight for the New York Yankees. They will be at Minute Maid Park in Houston for Game 7 of the American League Championship Series. So whoever goes on to win tonight goes into the World Series against the Dodgers next week. So, I grew up a Met fan, gave up on the Mets a few years back, and now I'm kind of pulling for the old home team. So, and the Rockies didn't get in. So, go Yankees! One more shot. And we played Laurie Anderson's Yankee C. We started up top on that Saturday segue with an old John Cale song called Mr. Wilson. Why would we play Mr. Wilson in our Saturday segue of In the News songs? Well, of course, there's the big kerfuffle between White House Chief of Staff John Kelly and Florida Democrat Frederica Wilson, get it, all about what Trump did or did not say in his call to the grieving family of a serviceman who was killed. So first Kelly is saying, well, what business did she have listening in on this private, personal, sad phone call in the first place? And then the other side of that is, well, she was invited there, and it's a call from the president, and it's fine for the local big politician to be there. And then it had to do with her calling everybody in the White House racists, which is probably only 80% or 90% true, not 100% true. And then Kelly lying about what she had done or said about the unveiling of some big building that raised $20 billion for it, and she was taking credit, except she wasn't even in a position at that point to have been there, let alone take credit. So it's just like this whole ridiculous spat of stupidity, although I am still coming down on the side of Frederica Wilson. Go, and if she has become a rock star, more power to her. Then we played an excerpt of Martha Wainwright from her first album from 2010, a great album title, I Know You're Married, But I've Got Feelings Too. The name of the song, though, was Niger River. Okay, now, can somebody please tell me when we started calling it Niger? When the hell did that happen? All the years I was growing, it was Niger, not with a hard G and a long I, Niger, and you had to pronounce it correctly, because if you pronounced it the other way, you could get killed. So, but now suddenly, Niger? Where did it come from? And literally everybody on TV is saying it differently too. Some folks are saying it Niger, so they're keeping the long I. Others are still saying Niger, but all the hoity-toity people, oh, it's Niger. Ooh. Anyway, what happened? What did happen 2 weeks ago in Niger, where 4 American servicemen were killed? People are calling this Donald Trump's Benghazi, because just like Benghazi, it was a failure of communication, it was a failure of intelligence, and now it's sort of being covered up because suddenly, 2 weeks later, we're finally just starting to get pieces of information on why these soldiers were killed. So you can call it Niger, you can call it Niger, it's still going to be a mess for the man in charge. And I just hope that the Democrats and the left wing and the MSNBC and CNN and the Daily News and the Village Voice and places like that hammer at this the way the Republicans hammered at Benghazi, wrongfully so, for all those years, and the way they made that a cudgel to beat Hillary Clinton. And literally and figuratively, they beat her in the election. So part of taking away the public's trust in her and showing that she wasn't in charge, that she wasn't competent, and she didn't care was this whole Benghazi thing, which was nothing. Soldiers are overseas. Shit happens. Soldiers die. And Benghazi was just this little blip on the radar that Republicans make into a political thing. And now the Republicans are bitching that Democrats are going to make this Niger incident a thing. Yes, let's do that. And any time that you can call it Trump's Benghazi, keep hammering that meme home. Call it, don't even say Niger, don't even say Niger. Just say Trump's Benghazi. Say it over and over again for this month, for next month, next year, 2 years from now, in 2020 when we have the next elections. Don't forget Trump's Benghazi over in Niger. Just saying, if you want to win 3.5 years from now, it's a fighting point. Anyway, we played the Beatles. So, to quote Steve Ross, they had tunes, man. The Beatles had tunes, including one in French and English. We played Michelle. Why? Sad news. And nobody outside of New York will understand this. But this past week, we lost Michelle Marsh. Remember her? 63 years old. She was part of the Eyewitness News team. She was hot. She was pretty shack. That great 80s helmet hairstyles and stuff. But she was, and I'm saying this in the most sexist way imaginable, but she was a babe. And she was on, she was there with Roger Grimsby and Bill Beutel and John Johnson and Chauncey Howell. Hello, Chauncey. Apparently, he was either watching now or he was watching before. So we welcome him to our Daverhood in terms of watching us on TV here. But yeah, so she died. I'm so sad to say. She had breast cancer for a while. She'd been fighting it, and it spread to her brain. She started in 1979 on Channel 2. She was 25 years old. She was, in some ways, a pioneer in terms of women being broadcasters. Yes, a pioneer also of what Fox News and MSNBC has of beautiful women, telegenic women reading the news, because we want to look at her as well as hear the news. But either way, she did her thing. She was fired from CBS in a purge back in 1996. NBC took her immediately, and I didn't even know that. She was on the air till 2003, bless her heart. Michelle Marsh is survived by her second husband and her son. So farewell. And what better song could we play for her than the Beatles doing Michelle? We heard very briefly, because it's a song that's less than a minute, Tommy Tax, an unreleased recording until just a few years ago by Tiny Tim from the Complete Reprise Studio Masters. Why? Well, Trump did get one thing done this week. He got the Republicans to all close ranks and agree to at least talk about and put forward some kind of tax reform that will, I don't care if the rich get richer, so long as the poor and middle class get a little richer too. I'm okay spreading the wealth and the wealthy having even more wealth, even though I hate the rich as much as anybody. If the rich can get richer too, if it helps me, you know what? Fuck everybody else. Fuck the 8 gazillion billion people in America. If it helps me, go for it, Donald. Go for it, McConnell. Go for it, Ryan. If you put a few more bucks in my pocket without killing our deficit, without, I don't know how, and without tearing up our roads and without letting everything fall to seed, I'm with you on this. So let's call it the Lefkowitz improvement tax. And if you do that, I'm all for it. Anyway, we played Tiny Tim with Tommy Tax for that reason. And then we closed with Laurie Anderson doing Yankee C from United States Live. Well, we are live here in the Daverhood. Very thrilled to be here every Saturday from 9 until noon, except next Saturday, because I need a bit of a vacation and I'm taking some time off. But once I come back from New York, I'm going to talk about the shows that I've seen, stuff that happened to me in New York. We'll have more guests in the weeks and months ahead. So it just remains for me to say thank you to some folks. Thank you to all of you. And gosh, there's quite a few of you who tuned in over the course of the show, watching us here on Facebook. Remember, like if you missed parts of it or you want to share it or hear other things again, possibly Facebook will save this video. But whether or not they do, go to davesgoneby.com. Dave, like my name, davesgoneby.com, and it won't be up immediately, but by this evening or tomorrow morning, we'll have the archived audio of this entire show. You can hear the Steve Ross interview, and the songs will sound so much better because they're meant to be radio audio. davesgoneby.com. You can email me, davesgoneby@aol.com. And again, thanking so much Steve Ross. Go see him on October 23rd, this week at Birdland in New York. Yay. And thank you so much to my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, for giving me beverages, for joining us for the first part of this radio program. Thank you to Rabbi Sal Solomon. Remember that you can find out so much more about him at his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. It's got his TV show. It has all his his essays, but his sermons, his rabbinical reflections, and even his stage show that I really want him to bring back to New York in the next half a year to a year or so. It's called Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Sal Solomon. It's not to be missed, and if you want to see an early version of it, that playing at the Richmond Shepherd Theater off Broadway in 2011 or 12, it's right there. There's a YouTube link right at the Rabbi's website, shalomdammit.com. Well, thank you guys. It's lovely weather out there. It's going to be kind of a beautiful week. We're going to have some cold weather in the middle of the week, getting down to like 19 in the overnights and just in the 40s, 50s during the day. But the rest of the week, we'll have some beautiful weather. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, the high is going to be 77 before the storm comes in. And then once the cold front sweeps out in a day or two, back to beautiful 60s and 70s weather here in Greeley, Colorado, where we're finishing the 625th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for joining us. Tell your friends. Tell all these people. I've got, gosh, more than, several thousand friends on Facebook now, which I'm thrilled about. We can always use more. I can always have people saying, hey, check out this weird guy. He does a radio show every Saturday. He has amazing guests. He plays cool and interesting music. He does funny things. He does offensive things. It's all here on Dave's Gone By. So we go out with one more song from our delightful new friend of the Daverhood, Steve Ross, in honor also of my seeing New York City again this coming week and gazing at the Manhattan moon and Gone By.
Great cities have their history, their power, charm, and mystery. New York has all of that, without a doubt. And sometimes after dark, when you least expect it, it has something more. Manhattan moon, that magical moon,